Fuck it, I'm going live. I'm not gonna do like that guy from Fox News. I can't really impersonate him too well, but I'm just gonna start it so people aren't waiting and they can hop in once it starts. So the people don't have to wait too long and are not wondering why it hasn't started yet. But let's see who's in the chat so far. Hey Faye, how's it going? Sidewalk, welcome for joining us, buddy. Hey Chad. Warp Pulley, Gem Max. What is this gay Canadian thing about? Well, it's just about mostly Canadian politics, but I'm going to be talking about stuff in the UK as well tonight. Maybe some stuff to do with America as well. Hey, Julie, how's it going? Long time no see. I'm going to start doing more content. I know I've been lacking as of late, but I will, start doing more stuff and maybe some more solo stuff as well. But I got a bunch of stories to talk about tonight, as well as a lot of different just tweets and funny things and different videos to watch. I'm not sure what Frederick and Chris have brought to the table or anything, because like I said, I haven't been able to contact them. But still checking. I don't see them in there yet, but I'm sure he will be here. I'm just going to say, all right, I told him I started it, but, I can share some stuff with you guys to begin with, maybe some, videos to do with this one girl and the UK complaining about how she's living in a shipping container. I don't know if you guys saw this video, but she's like, oh, it's terrible. It's so horrible. But it's like, what are you doing in this country to begin with? Demonetize you? Is YouTube trying to demonize? Yeah, they're trying to demonize me too, man. Not just demonetize me, they're trying to demonize me as well. But I don't know. I've turned off my monetization, like for the videos. I mean the commercials, because most of the time I wasn't able. It was always like, oh, you can't put commercials to this video anyway. So it's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna remove it. Plus, it's annoying for me to look at commercials. That's why I have ad block. So why subject other people to it? But I'm still approved for monetization. So but at the same time, a lot of people. It's not necessarily that I'm specifically being targeted and stuff, maybe, but I think that everybody in general as well, just because certain things are now being promoted above regular YouTubers' content. That's been like that for a little while now, especially if you're covering certain topics to do with news, with mass shootings, with what if you have an opinion about like one of the recent shootings, like it's going to be a little bit more difficult sometimes to get recognition or get your video up there or whatever, because the news is all going to be covering it. It's going to be 3-4 pages of news before you actually see a regular YouTuber, whereas before you would see a lot more of them. But let me see if these guys have joined in. No, I don't see him yet. He hasn't responded, but now I can start showing some stuff anyways. Here, let me share my screen. I really like this StreamYards thing. It's actually pretty good. It's a lot better than what do you call it? Just regular Google Hangouts, because when you do share, you can share just the singular screen itself, or you can share the whole thing if you want. But let me share the Chrome tab here. Okay, so there's this one girl that's complaining about living in a shipping container. I thought it was kind of funny, and it's not really a super serious story, but I just kind of want to see the people that are coming into the UK and our countries and stuff like that, and what they expect. It's like, they're already spending tons of their money anyways, wasting it on other socialist bullshit. And now other people who have not even paid in the system are expecting like all this money. Her kid has like autism or something like that. So it's like, what? Why are you even here? But just the amount that people expect that we give them is just ridiculous. But let's hear this.
This place to come and stay here with my family, which is unsuitable for my son. And I did tell them that the first day I moved here, but they did not care. They just had to say, oh, if you don't take this place, go and find your own place. Where am I going to go with my 4 kids and find a place? Who is going to take me in? Who's going to look after us? The council's supposed to do that. That's their job to do that. They're supposed to look after the family who needs to be helped. Like my son, who's got severe autism, learning difficulty. He has no danger awareness. He has no spoken yet.
Why are you here? And there he is in the background, just not speaking, looking at the camera. Go away. Go back to your country and deal with your autistic shit over there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. It's sad. It's sad that people have autism and shit. I know it's terrible, but I mean, we don't need to import more of these people's problems, and then they expect to have like this huge roomy place. It's like, man, there is no space there. They're doing what they can, and they don't do this for regular homeless people that are living in the streets. But no, you guys get actually really good special treatment, but still want to complain.
And he's 13. He brings so much energy. He's a very active child. Knowing that they put a child in the 2nd floor in a cargo container, locked him in the room. They just don't care. The Healing Council did not come and even visit us to even see the situation we're in. All they do is write a letter.
People would love to be in their situation. And
if we try to speak, they shut us out. They're like, no, you can't speak. No, like they don't say that you can't speak, but it's like they want more answers for everything. They will answer for everything. Even if you say this is white, no, this is yellow. Or if it's yellow, no, it's red. Like they always have an answer for every little thing. And I'm tired. And that's why I'm happy to speak to you guys, to speak to anybody who wants to speak to me. Because somebody has to listen. Somebody has to understand. Families, especially me, children should not stay in a cargo container.
Of course, the media is going to focus on the woman that has like the special needs kids. And it's like, oh, look at these kids with autism are living in crates and cardboard. They're living in cages, essentially, right? And it's just another sob story to get you to feel sorry and let more people into your country to overwhelm you. And then they're going to demand for more things. It's like, how much have you paid into the system? How many, and you bring your 4 kids?
It's just wrong. It's a torture. It's a mental torture.
That's like in America, there's, they're complaining now about like these migrants that are coming across the border. They're complaining that, oh, Trump's not providing us with wheelchairs and stuff. And he's not giving these people wheelchairs. It's like, how did they travel 2,000 fucking kilometers or miles without a wheelchair? Now they need a wheelchair. And they're like, oh, I need this and I need dental and I need this. I need back surgery. And you're like, oh my God. It's like, see, people, they know exactly what they're doing when they come to Canada and to stupid countries like us. They're like, oh, well, I can get free money, free shit. This is great. How amazing is this? Let me check out the chat here, though. There's no shower in a shipping container. Yeah. Oh, well. I know as many times as possible to leave comment on your channel as the whirligig just keeps going. Yeah. Sorry, man. Jim Beaner, I've noticed this one, though. What's a whirligig? Close the doors on the container and send them back. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what we should do. We should just one day when they complain too much, just close the doors. Sorry, you got to go back. There's another video I have of her complaining from, I don't know, a different angle, I guess you could say. And it's just completely ridiculous. But since Fred and all that, those guys still aren't here, I'm going to show some more random shit. But I think that it's still kind of pretty interesting. And here, I'll share the majority of my screen. I'll just share my entire screen here. That's what I'll do. I'll share my entire screen. So this isn't a Photoshop joke. This is a real French book for children about Celts with an African on the cover. So, les Celts, mange et crie, habille-toi et amuse-toi comme les Celts. Well, okay, well, maybe it's just like, hey, this kid can get into it. They're not really saying, because this is just saying, dress like them and amuse yourself like them. But still, I don't know. Not only that, there's this, right? This is just a common theme in Hollywood, or this is like mostly in the UK a lot. I don't know what it is with the UK, but they really like to take white people or white historical characters and change their race, and people would be up in arms. I think a lot of this people don't care about too, because it's kind of like payback for a lot of people. They're like, yeah, see, you dressed up like an Indian in the 1930s, and now we're gonna dress up like you. But it's not even, I don't even think, it's not like black people run Hollywood or run movies or anything like that. That's, we all know it's Jews, right? So, speaking of Jewish people, man, if you look at Stefan Moliner's Twitter, I was going to show it earlier, but I didn't. I was like, I got so much shit to show. I was like, whatever. But he's calling out a lot of this stuff. Like, he's just like, oh, certain Jewish people and stuff and whatnot. I guess you could say, but he's not like full alt-right or anything. Not that I like that or it would be good per se, but nonetheless, like, look at this, Achilles, Roman soldier, Margaret of Anjou, the Hollow Crown, Victorian soldier, Guinevere, Friar Tuck. It's just it's the same thing over and over again. What is this here? I'm going to delete these because I got some more white supremacist things I want to show you guys a little bit later. Let me check the chat. See, no, they're not back yet. I don't know what they're doing. Oh well. Drop them off a plane like in spies like the US. How would you like your daughter marry one of these jungle bunnies? Well, okay. We have immigration lawyers that teach them to play the system. Oh yeah, exactly, right. We have lots of these lawyers that are doing this stuff pro bono, and they're telling them, hey, if you say this and you say this, you can get into the country. If you say you're raped, if you say, there was a Islamic terrorist just recently in Canada, and he said that, or some guy that was on those sites promoting it, and now they charged him with something. I think they may have released him, but he said that he was a Christian trying to get into the country because he was he was going to get killed by the jihadists, right? But that was obviously a lie. Or he became a Christian, then got re-radicalized in Islam or some bullshit like that. It's like, fuck off, this is bullshit. Super alt-right Celtic guys freaking out over that black kid as a Celt. Yeah, I know, right? I'd be like, what the fuck? How would you like your daughter marry one? Okay. Ha ha ha. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I got this little Simpsons thing that I wanted to share here. Let me share this with you guys. Oh yeah, Chrome tab, sorry. Where is this? That's the one thing I gotta get a little bit better. If you don't believe this happened, come on. Okay, there it is. There it is. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is the Simpsons. This is the Simpsons today. What it is today, and it's pitiful. It's not a good look for today in the Simpsons, and this is why their ratings are probably shit right now. And after they got rid of Apu, I don't know what it was. It's you think that you thought that after like they took a stand on Apu for a little while and they didn't back down, and the guy was saying, no, fuck you. And then once they did that, it was like a complete downhill turn. It was like, okay, they got rid of that guy or something maybe, or they bought him off, or they, I don't know, told him that, hey, we're going to reveal that you were at Epstein's fucking island or something. He's like, okay, all right, fine. Okay, all right. Now it's Trump bashing, but here I'll play this little clip here.
So many problems, tariffs. I need a distraction. They shouldn't be in America. No one but me in America.
He's right about that. They shouldn't be in America. Oh, but this person was here for a whole generation. Oh, you're a racist. It's like, shut up. Like, these people, they clearly hate America, the majority of them. So yeah, they can just leave. Anybody can leave, even if they're a fucking citizen. They've been for multiple generations. Let's see here. Come on, play it. See, that's the only thing about this bullshit. It might be, I know, what's its name? Maybe if I just refresh it, that might be good. These Twitter videos kind of get fucked up when you start them.
So many problems, tariffs. I need a distraction. They shouldn't be in America. No one but me in America. No taxes for me in America. This is my natural haircut.
We're more American than your wife.
She's not a big presence in my life.
Your love life makes us heave.
You two will never see Tel Aviv.
You're greasing your pot with emoluments.
It's okay with God, says Mike Pence.
You're Boris Johnson without the class. Can't wait to see you behind prison glass. Your nose is right up Putin's ass. We say it's time to impeach you fast.
Just all the basic lines. You're up Putin's ass. We need to impeach you fast. Like, just terrible too. Lock him up, impeach. This sign is the most reading you've done in years, blah blah. Okay, I haven't seen the full episode, but maybe there's a broader context to this. Oh, well, why does this happen every fucking time I fucking pause it? I'm not gonna pause it. I'm just gonna skip it to that part. All right.
Can't be the first one to lose my breath. Can't be the first one to fall. Who's an old man now?
Right. Just cringe. And that's why the Simpsons are no good anymore. And not because I'm like, oh, I love Trump and how could you do this to my Trump? But it's just cringy. It's bad. It's not original anymore. Like, I remember growing up and watching The Simpsons and laughing and loving it. It was hilarious. But now it's just crap. It's just crap. I don't know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Let me check. Okay, is Fred? Okay, Chris. There's Chris. Let's see here. Hey, Chris, can you hear me? What's up? Nope. He cannot hear me. Canadian Patriots for Trump. Hell yeah. Oh, there's Boss Man. Yeah, I'm obsessed with him, man. What can you say? You love watching this channel, so you love it too. What can I tell you? Everybody hates musicals anyways. They have to work that shit into it. Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with people. That's true. The Simpsons stopped being funny years ago. I stopped watching it probably in like the mid 2000s or something like that at the very least. Play Hitler Cartman after I need a pick me up. Hitler Cartman. Let me see that. I don't know. Which maybe if you send me the link or something, I might do it, as long as it doesn't switch this video out. Also, Mac Groening, the Simpsons creators, linked to Epstein and has a foot fetish. That's hilarious. I was just joking about them saying that you're related to Epstein, because that's what I was saying. I'm like, they probably told him, hey, you're related. We got your dirt on Epstein. You better stop with this shit. You better get rid of Apu right the fuck now. It's legit. Yeah. People hate Trump because that's true. I think that Disney actor who overdosed on caffeine powder had an abusive manager. The reason why he got addicted to caffeine. Okay, let me check the thing. Is Chris back? Okay, he left. I don't know what's going on. It's the boomers, man. These boomers and their boomer issues. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Just they're probably listening to this right now, being all mad. Let's check up. I wonder if a black man were killed. Check out Mark Friesen's video, especially the one with Ben Ditcher speaking at the PPC convention. Yeah. I think I saw a part of that on Blue Apple's channel, and she's like, questioning the PPC more and stuff. She's hilarious, though. I gotta say, like, I love her. She's funny as shit. And I just like going on her channel and arguing with her in the comments. If you just watch her, look at her latest videos, you'll see. Like, I made like a bunch of comments. I think that Disney actor people. Okay, so let me check, see if Chris. Okay, FGM. All right. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Yo.
Italian.
What's up?
Not much. Doing
We're
your
live.
We're live, by the way. Yo, I can hear you, Chris. I heard you.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, good. How are you?
Not bad. So can what's his name? Fred, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. No problem.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're started. So I'm just chilling with the chat right now, talking about some shit. And I went through just some filler topics while I was waiting anyways. It's kind of funny shit to go over, right? But to begin, I want to start with
King Jew. Did you hear?
who's a Jew?
Trump is the king of the Jews.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
So a radio broadcaster named by the name of Wayne Allen Root said he was the chosen one to lead the Jews, and he is the king of Israel. And he trumpeted that comment back on Twitter, which was pretty funny. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah, no, I saw that trending today. I don't know. I think Trump is just trolling Jews at this point or something. I have no idea, because every day it's like he's like, what did he say the other day? He said these Jews are traitors to other Jews or something like that. I can't remember.
I don't know what he's doing, but
it's pretty funny.
But
it's good. I like it because it's if he thinks he's getting Jewish support, like he's not, and it's making the issue with Israel more of it's going to force it to be a bipartisan or partisan issue, right? So now the left is going to have to kind of champion being against Israel because Trump is being so pro Israel. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's doing it on purpose. Maybe, I don't think so, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
The left was always anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian, right? So that lobby has always existed for a long time. But yeah, it's kind of funny. But in other news, I'm not sure if you heard, I think it was the foreign minister of China was bashing Chrystia Freeland because she had made some statements about Hong Kong. So she made those statements in tandem with another lady, an individual. Remember, I'll recall her name.
Ooh, what? Hong Kong? I didn't hear anything.
So Chrystia Freeland was getting attacked today by a Chinese foreign minister to stay the fuck out of their business because she was making some comments today about Hong Kong and China being a little bit oppressive in that case in terms of the protest, right? So basically the Chinese foreign minister says, shut the fuck up and get out of our business, right? And there's another lady. Her name is Mogherini. She's on the European Commission. She's a character, a well-known and admitted commie. She worked for the Communist Party in Germany. She also once stated that Muslims are a part of Europe. So she's for open borders. There's a bunch of slew of shit for this woman. And I've been trying to look if she's a little hat. It's hard to find out sometimes. But anyway, so she said that in tandem, and Krista Freeland was just echoing that statement about China being oppressive against the Hong Kongese. And they called out her, but they didn't call out Mogherini, which is funny because, sorry, she's Italian, not German. And it's funny because it just shows where we are in the stage of international politics. We're like a little nobody. And we just get pushed around by everybody. It's quite comical.
Well, at this point, what does Canada have to lose? You know, they've already like what more? I guess China could still do more, I guess, but they've already stopped trade with a lot of different things. So it's like, yeah, you may as well call them out, whatever, you know, because if they don't call them out, then people will be like, why aren't you calling out China? And you know, if they do call them out, they'll be like, whoa. So at this point, like the thing, it's like they're trying. They already fucked up the trade with it, so it's like whatever. They may as well do it.
You might as well come out swinging at this point.
Yeah,
what do you got to lose?
Exactly right. What do they got to lose at this point? Because now China's just saying like, shut up. But before they were like, all right, now we're not going to buy any wheat from you and corn and this and that and whatever else, right? So. You know, it's you know, I don't know what I think I don't really care that they're calling out Hong Kong. I mean, siding with Hong Kong on this issue. It's whatever. It's kind of expected to some extent, you know. And I think the world would like to work with China to a large extent, but I think that even places like Europe and Canada are starting to be like, okay, yeah, they're a little bit too gung ho, and you know, we got to be careful. But
Chris is trying to get back in his browser crack. Yeah, but the funny part of all that is there's a lot of countries now turning their back against the Americans, you know. And yeah, I agree. There's been some predatory loans to international countries, but there's been predatory loans locally as well. I mean, the housing market was predatory, right? So it's really interesting because the Congo, they just made a deal in the Congo to build roads everywhere. And I watched the documentary on that because they're just pouring in money, and they've just lately forgiven like $7 million in loans, but they keep giving them money. And the guy was saying, yeah, they got a president there's been there for 36 years. Apparently, it's
Irwin?
Yeah, something like that.
Hold on. Yeah, I have a story about that, or not a story, but I have what do you call it? Yeah, here it is. Share, but here. So David Atkin, here's outrageous for you. Trudeau Liberals write off a $7 million federal loan to Irving's. The Irving's, whose shipyard in Halifax this week got a $500 million Navy contract. Good grief, good scoop by, you know, Patra CBC, right? Whatever, right? So,
well, this is different, right? I was talking about the Chinese forgiving the Congolese the $7 million loan that they gave them and gave them more money.
Oh, right? Yeah. Well, who gives a shit about Chinese people?
What I'm saying is we give these people money. Trudeau in his first year was giving money to African warlords. Remember, millions. Yeah, of course. And then these guys called the West a bunch of racist assholes, which is hilarious. Meanwhile, this one guy, he's been talking about the country in that documentary, saying that, yeah, these people come and they bring all their own workers. They push us out of jobs. They build their own condos for themselves. It's like, well, yeah, you know, be careful what you wish for. Same with that doofus, that little midget Duarte, talking against the West. I mentioned this before, right? He shot someone at 16. He's a commie. His grandmother's a Muslim. And, he's bombing the shit out of Mindanao, which is a Muslim majority area. And meanwhile, his family is of Muslim background. And, America supported ousting the Marcos, if you remember those people, right? These people were just, pieces of shit. And during the election, I forgot the lady that got elected after her husband was assassinated. So it was America says, we don't trust these elections. I think we need to look at the ballots a little bit more carefully, do another count. And they actually supported the first female president in the Philippines who had taken the country from a dictatorship essentially to a democratic nation and fixed a lot of the ills that the Marcos family had done. So, here's this loser who's shitting on the West. Meanwhile, it was the West who helped this little tiny island of misfits. And now he's going to China. He had an issue with China because they were encroaching on the South China Sea into his territorial coastal waters. But he forgave that because they gave him another 15 trillion. So it's like, fuck off. What do you people want? In 2015, Obama gave them like 200 million plus another 16 million to buy jets and whatever. Right. So, when the Chinese are being belligerent with us, I say, there's an old saying in my family. If someone doesn't like you, you like them less. If someone likes you, you like them more. So return in kind. Oh, you don't, you want to bash us and stuff? No problem. We're going to put a 100% tax on every home purchase that any Chinese buys. And we'll put tariffs on any Chinese products that come into the country. Follow suit with the Americans. Which is the problem is that, we have a government who's ballless. And I think Bernier is probably, just might turn around and tell the Chinese where to go, right?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see, but we'll if he gets on the debates or whatever, right? That will help. Not that he will win once he is able to debate, but I'm just saying, right?
Now going back to
either way,
forgiving the 7 million to the Irvings, this guy keeps digging himself into a hole, and I think he's truly that dumb because in his mind, he's so detached from the common man that he thinks whatever he actually believes. When he talks, he did that thing today again, coming out and says, like, I know people are thinking of what I've done with SNCC 11, but I was here for the Canadians. I was here for their jobs. Meanwhile, the company fired 1,000 people.
Well, he was saying, it was for the jobs, whereas today I saw it was downgraded again or something like that, like the credit rating or, lost a lot of money in stocks because of all this shit. So, him trying to do all this has inadvertently probably made more jobs actually be lost this way than what he was saying. Because before, it would have just been a different contract that would have gotten it. The rightful company that had a better safety rating, they would have gotten a contract. And then SNC 11A, maybe they wouldn't have had such a terrible, I don't know, showing or something like that, or whatever, right? But although I guess it had to do with the prosecution, though, right? Recently, is being prosecuted. But if it had worked out and they got a deferred prosecution agreement, and they weren't prosecuted, then I guess their stocks would be up or whatever. But yeah, so either way, it looks bad on him. But that also hasn't affected the polls at all. The recent scandal or the recent stuff that's come out about Trudeau's ethics violations, it's had, according to the polls, it's had literally no effect whatsoever. So, we'll see. But I don't expect partisan liberals for this to sway them, right? Because it's going to be like, oh, well, these ethics violations were created in 2007 anyways, and so they're illegitimate, and he was just trying to save jobs, blah blah blah, and then they're just going to source those articles from the Toronto Star and the CBC that was like, did the ethics commissioner get it wrong? Did he misjudge it and all this crap? I don't know if you guys read those articles when they came out, where they were trying to discredit the commissioner or whatever, right? So people will believe what they want to believe with the information that's provided. It doesn't matter if it's factual or not. But yeah, that guy, he's scummy as shit. Like you said, he gave $7 million to Irving's while giving them a $500 million contract as well. So it's like, here's the goodies. And see, that's not a free market. That's not how the market should work. Like, for example, the SNC-Lavalin, they didn't have the same standard, like safety standard and all these other standards that the other companies did have. So you're paying for a lesser product, and so you're going to get a lesser product, right? But I know this guy, so I'm going to scratch his back. He's going to scratch my back. You know, it's bullshit. But either way, I want to share a couple stories. I want to start off with Jihadi Jack, right? So this guy wants to get back into Canada here, and he's because
the UK citizen, right?
The UK just revoked his citizenship, right?
And he wants to come to Canada.
Now he wants to come to Canada, right? So here's a thing from Sky News. If I pause it, it might stop completely. So I might play most of it through, but let's listen to this asshole here.
Passport, I don't want your citizenship anyway. Having
One sec.
Paper that you're a British citizen means absolutely nothing. I've been abroad in a prison for the last 2.5 years without trial. No one's even asked about me from the British government. What does it mean to be a British citizen? Anyway, I don't want to live in a Britain that's being governed by Boris Johnson and his private school group of...
I don't want to live in a place with a racist like Boris Johnson.
Dummy. Are you kidding me?
While he's like a terrorist.
He's a perfect liberal.
Like, I wouldn't want to live in Boris Johnson's UK.
I don't want to live in a UK with ISIS. Like, go away. Go and rot in the country you went and fought in. Jeez, what a mess.
I want what he's smoking.
I don't. The only thing to do with his little peace pipe.
Oh yeah, it's just scumbag.
Ugh, trash.
Unbelievable.
The entitlement. That's really what it is. It's entitlement.
So yeah, allegedly escaping ISIS. Anything to put it right, what I did.
Being truthful when I say I want to make a difference and I want to try and make up to the world that which I did against it.
Okay, start in prison.
Prison, I'd like to actually be given an opportunity to, I don't know what it's in English, sort of keep sort of an awareness. The trap that I fell into here was all due to the fact that I didn't learn my religion properly. I didn't understand what the fundamental principle of Islam was.
He learned the wrong Islam. That's why he did all these things.
Takia. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this is Takia or the truth. I can't figure it out. So I'm just going to assume it's all lies.
Yeah, he's fine.
I didn't understand what I was doing because I had a lot of ignorance.
Like, of course he's lying. You know, Syria, their stronghold in Syria gets wiped out. Now all these people want to come back. Oh, please, I didn't know. It's like, why didn't you come back 2-3 years earlier when you didn't have a stronghold?
Hey, how about you just don't go there to begin with to fight the enemy that essentially the Britons or the Americans are fighting overseas too? You're fighting against your own people, and now you want to come, I lost, so I'm a citizen, here's my passport. Come on.
I got a story after this from the Globe and Mail, right? And I don't know, they've been doing a lot of good pieces recently that I've noticed. Well, that against Trudeau, it seems like. So either they don't want that money from Trudeau or something. I don't know, but let's finish this.
In Iraq or Syria, a very bad group of people thinking that they're actually Muslims and that they're good people. If I had known Islam properly and had studied it properly before I left Britain, I would have realized that these people are very, very bad people. And if I could do something to help and stop people from making the same mistake I did, I'd love to do that, of course.
Shut up.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I don't want passport and citizenship. Great, perfect. Bye. Bye.
So has a decision been made to let him in?
Inevitably.
Like, where are on this case right now?
One sec here. Nobody wants to touch it, essentially. So here I got a story from. Oh, that's not this one.
Maybe Cotter can sponsor him with this 10.5 million, right?
Jeez.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. You know,
I would love it if the government took a stand and said, "Yeah." Oh, so Jihadi Jack, is he a dual citizen? Like, why is Canada being mentioned here?
because his father is a Canadian citizen, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So this story kind of goes into a little bit of explanation. So
Where's
This
his father? Did his father disown him, or did he commit seppuku because he's
no.
brought
His-
this piece of shit into life?
His
His father is actively
wants
trying to
him-
save him. Yeah.
His father, there's another article that I was going to read from Globe Mail, but I was just like, it's too much. But it was his father saying, like, Canada needs to do more to bring his son, and he's considering moving to Canada so then he can bring his son over. Because he doesn't want him in the Kurdish prison or whatever.
So he's paid no taxes into our country. He doesn't live here, but he's considering moving here if we happen to take his terrorist son in, who isn't a citizen, but his father is. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Well, he's a citizen, right? So he can legally come anytime he wants. He can be gone
Yeah.
for. That's good. You know, like we want that ability. We
Why is
want
he
people.
begging? Why is he begging? Why does he just cross that Roxham Road?
Right. Well, because
Basically.
he's still in the Kurdish prison. Like he's a Canadian citizen. He doesn't need to do that.
Fuck him. Let him rot.
But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is refusing to say if a Canadian known as Jihadi Jack is welcome in Canada after Britain revoked his British citizenship over his alleged support for the Islamic State in Syria. Jack Letts, who is currently being held in a Kurdish-run jail in northeastern Syria, told a British television network he hopes Canada will take him back. Mr. Letts said he has been to Canada 7 times in his life and has always felt as though he is a mix of British and Canadian descent. So he's just I've always felt I've been here. I've visited Toronto a few times, and I've always felt fuck off. No, nobody's gonna buy your sob story. Well, maybe some people probably.
Well, some people will inevitably.
I always expected Canada would help me, and they didn't. Mr. Letts said in a video posted to the ITV news.
Your son is a terrorist.
I hope Canada does not take me from here. If they can take me to Canada, that would be good. Speaking to reporters in Quebec City Monday, Mr. Trudeau was asked whether he would be open to repatriating Mr. Letts to Canada, but he did not answer the question directly. It is a crime to travel internationally with the goal of supporting terrorism or engaging in terrorism, and that is a crime that we will continue to make all attempts to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. That is the message we have for Canadians and for anyone involved, Mr. Trudeau said. So that's like just a non-answer. So it's like, yeah, we put him away for 4 months. That's the fullest extent of the law that we could apply. So I'm not lying, The Liberal government has faced calls for families of Canadians. And the thing is that a lot of the crimes that they do in Syria, they can't investigate because it would require the RCMP to go there and investigate. So they can't charge them for anything they did. They can charge them for certain like terrorism acts or this or that. But essentially they'll get a slap on the wrist. Even if they do come and are charged to the fullest extent of the law, they'll be in and out in a very short amount of time, if anything. The Liberal government has faced calls from families of Canadians trapped in Syria. Trapped? They're trapped. What do you mean they're trapped? No, you were combatants. You're not trapped. You're being held because you're prisoners, because you're criminals. including the Letts family, to repatriate their loved ones, but Ottawa has maintained it is too dangerous to send Canadian officials into the war zone to help. Families who have spoken to Globe Mail believe there is little political will from any Canadian politician to embrace the hot potato issue ahead of October's federal election. So, this is why they're not moving in on these people as well, because, it would look bad even for Trudeau to go and be like, come on in and we love you. A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, right?
They're from South Africa.
Canadian and Canadian is a Canadian. So they're still like, I don't want to touch this issue. We're really disappointed in the UK with their decision to take away that's what they said just a day ago, right? They're like disappointed in the UK because they're like, now you put you passed the bill on us, but we had the ability to revoke their citizenship until you fucking stupid idiots took it away. And the UK has the ability. And in this article, they're like, oh, well, if we took it away, then that would make them a stateless person. And
not my problem.
Blah,
not my
blah,
problem.
blah.
He's a terrorist.
The UK,
Jeez.
They were smarter and they did it before we could do it. So now we're stuck in that situation. We're like, because the UN, you can't make a stateless person, so you can't revoke his. So essentially, we're going to be stuck with the guy, right? Like, we're going to be stuck with him. He's probably
but we don't let South Africans in. We don't let white South Africans in. And we've been throwing out for the last 3 years.
This guy has a direct relation to a Canadian, so that's why
he's not that. We've been people here who've been living in this country, born in this country. Something happened, kerfuffle with the UK citizenship, and they've been kicking them out.
Right.
So that being said, I just happened to look up revoking Canadian citizenship on the Government of Canada website, and it says the grounds for revoking citizenship, I'll skip to the point that's relevant. Citizenship may also be revoked of a person who is a dual citizen, like this person, at least they were.
He's not anymore.
Before or after the coming into force of subsections 10.2 or 10.1, which is in 2017, while the person is a Canadian citizen, was convicted of terrorism, high treason, or spying offenses, depending on the sentence received, or served as a member of an armed force of a country, or as a member of an organized armed group, and that country or group was engaged in armed conflict with Canada. That's your justification. It's in the law. Get him out of here. He has no business coming into Canada. So we'll see what happens. The fact that Trudeau isn't coming out and saying no is disturbing. And part of the reason is because he's already set a precedent because of Cotter, because of all these ISIS guys who are coming back and they're trying to reintegrate and hug with love. I mean, what makes this guy any different than them? When you think about this guy's actually like born white guy, looking like anybody else. So whatever.
We should be looking up what's happening in the Muslim circles, if they have any dailies, to see if they're writing about this.
The thing is, though, like you're reading that thing, right? But because Canada and all this shit, they're trying to be upheld to the UN or whatever, right? Like they're not allowed to create a stateless person, right? Like because they revoked his citizenship, it puts us in kind of a shitty situation. You know what I mean? I don't know if they can, even with that in the law, revoke his, because the UN or the judges will probably take into consideration, those things as well, right? So
I do have a section here about that in the same section here where it says that Article 8 of the United States Convention on the Reduction of Statelessness states that a state is not in breach of its obligations should it render a person stateless for having obtained the status through fraud or misrepresentation. That doesn't apply to this person. No. In order to comply with Canada's obligations under the United States Convention on the Reduction of Statelessness, subsection 10.4, provides that the revocation of citizenship on the grounds of being convicted of terrorism, high treason or spying offenses, or being a member of an armed force or organized armed group engaged in armed conflict with Canada will only apply to persons with dual citizenship. The minister must have reasonable grounds to believe that the person is a citizen of another country before pursuing revocation under these grounds. Then the next section provides the onus rests with the individual to prove on a balance of probabilities that they are not a citizen of another country. So in this case, to your point, AJ, with the UK pulling, unfortunately, they beat us to it. So if Canada does pull his citizenship, then he will be stateless, and under this UN treaty, that would be a no-no. So, anyways.
Right. So it's just a really big fuck around. But I'll keep reading the article. It's almost done. Meanwhile, official opposition leader Andrew Scheer said a conservative government, if elected, would not make any effort to bring Mr. Letts to Canada. So that's exactly what Trudeau is doing. He's just not. They're not making an effort to bring him, but not really saying anything about revoking the citizenship. And this article kind of gets into it, right? NDP spokesperson Melanie Richer said it's deeply disappointing that the United Kingdom is offloading their responsibility, and we hope that the PM will raise this disappointment to the UK Prime Minister next week, like in the G7 summit. Like, how many enemies is this guy going to make? Like, okay, he's going to alienate America, China, Saudi Arabia. Now he's going to go to the UK. Hey, I didn't like what you did about revoking. You did it before we could. You got the jump on us. You know, it's like, no, he's not going to say anything. With his British citizenship revoked, Mr. Letts will now be the responsibility of Canada if he is ever deported from Syria, which he most definitely will be. Why would they hold on to him?
Well, maybe he'll happen to commit suicide, a la Epstein. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe there'll be he'll trip on a banana peel or something and break his neck. Who knows?
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, just because here, I'm going to share this for one quick second, because that just makes me think of this Epstein thing here. One sec. If you don't believe this happened, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Oh boy.
You don't believe this happened?
He stepped on the bar of soap that was under the bed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because he broke his neck, right? And they're usually,
Yeah, cannonball.
Because the official story is like, he tied a sheet. So they give a guy who's going to kill himself sheets to hang himself. And then he ties sheets to the second post and jumps off and hangs.
Well, so how the room looks is that the bottom bed that's all he has. So it's not even there's no bunk bed. It's just that little bed, and it's actually a little bit lower to the floor. And they give him paper clothes and paper sheets.
Well, remember though, he was taken off suicide watch the day before, so he got his regular sheets back. He got all his regular gear back. Coincident? And apparently, I was watching something on Fox where it said where the former commissioner of the jail said that, oh yeah, the cameras capture everything going in and out of cells. So definitely, if somebody went in there should. Unless the camera was turned off or it was blacked out or it wasn't malfunctioning, there should be some video of whoever went in and out of that. So.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how all these things happen.
What's happening to Maxine Giselin? There seems to be a lot of doctored photos with her.
Yeah,
there's been some.
Yeah, maybe she went to like an In-N-Out burger recently or something.
And then what's his name? Down the rabbit hole. He was looking. Apparently, he's worked in the past with imaging and stuff like that. So he blew that up, and you could see there's been like a whole photo edit around the chairs is missing.
Yeah. Vegas shooting. Hey, did you guys see this in the what do you call it? If you go to StreamYard, see the chats on the right corner too here, right? See that? Yeah. Except you can't. Too bad you can't interact with it per se, but
right.
Cool that you can see it at the very least, so I don't have to switch back and forth. But
yeah.
But nonetheless, what somebody mentioned in the chat, the Vegas shooting, right? That's also something that just is not really talked about. This is going to be memory hold pretty quickly as well too. It already is. Yep. People are like, Epstein who?
Yeah.
What? Let's get back to Trump saying Jews, he's the Jew king.
Right. Hey, if you guys remind me by sometime during this stream, remind me to tell you how I inadvertently interviewed a 2-time convicted pedo for a job today. Spoiler alert, he didn't get the job.
Are you sure? Why didn't you bigot? Are you a bigot? Don't like pedophiles or something? Like
I need to have a
Wrong
word with my
you, you
recruiters.
dick.
Oh my god!
Google is my
Why
friend.
didn't you
Let's
give
put
him
it
a
that way.
job?
Because
What's wrong with you?
he spent 12 out of the last 20 years in federal prisons in the United States for
Everybody
traveling across
deserves
state lines
second
to have sex
chances.
with minors.
Everybody deserves second chances.
So he disclosed to me. Okay, I might as well talk about it now. So I was
Probably
interviewing
had to
this guy.
legally disclose to you that, right?
Well, I don't even. I try to
Most
keep up with the
likely
law.
did. Why would
He
you?
did.
Why would you? Oh, okay.
He did disclose it to me. So the interview was scheduled with me yesterday, but it was today. And I got a call from the manager whose team recruited this guy. Their office is down in Boise, Idaho, of all places. And he lives in Boise. And she says,
Wait a sec. You need to also interview some woman who has a cat picture on her Facebook.
oh my gosh, that was 2 days ago. Yeah, she's not getting the job either. She's not getting the job either. Listen, people, clean up your social media, okay? Clean up your social media. That's all I have to say. Anyway, so this guy, I was looking at. So they told me you can't hire him. I'm like, okay, then why did you give him to me to interview? He says, well, the interview already scheduled. We've learned some information, and we can't hire him. I'll explain it to you tomorrow. I'm like, okay, well, now my curiosity is piqued. Like, I gotta know what's going on. So the interview comes. I had a busy day. I couldn't Google him before, so I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm not gonna hire him. I'm just gonna kind of breeze through a quick version of the interview and move on. But then I was looking at his resume during the interview, and I'm like, oh, he's got like this 5-year gap here. He's got like a 7-year gap here. And I remember the manager said to me, I'm like, oh, this guy's been to jail. So I said to him, oh, so you were in IT as a management consultant and a system architect and a project manager back in the late 90s. And then you transitioned to a construction foreman. So what caused you to make that career change, and why are you looking to transition back to IT? And he's like, well, I guess I should disclose to you I committed a felony. So meanwhile, I'm like Googling him, and it wasn't a felony. There were multiple felonies. There was a prison break. There was all kinds of stuff in this guy's record. America puts everything online when it comes to criminals. It is a beautiful thing. Arrests.org saw his mugshots, seen everything. And I'm reading the court transcript. He's telling me about his career. I'm not even listening to him. I'm reading the court transcript from like this, because apparently this is a case that gets studied in law school. Fred, I sent you the link to the court transcript about he traveling across state lines, created a fake profile on some online site to meet a 14-year-old girl, and he traveled from Idaho to Montana to see this girl, and it was actually a cop he was going to meet in Montana.
Oh, was he on the show? Was he on that show?
I hope so. I'm gonna have to. I was looking for him on YouTube, but I didn't see anything. That was his second conviction. The first one was in the 2000s, and then he was kind of on the straight and narrow. But I don't really believe that. I think he just got caught. So, anyways, he got caught, and that's where his two major gaps were. He was in jail. So I see all this, and I knew he had a conviction. I figured that was what it was. But even then, depending on what it was, I mean, I would have been like, well, if he was really good, I might have considered. But when I saw pedo, I'm like, oh, no. I think my message to you, Fred, was pedo.
If he's really good.
He wasn't actually. He wasn't actually. So when I said to the manager, when I called her later, I said to her, well, one, skills-wise, he shouldn't have made it to me, but conviction-wise, then pedo. So yeah, he's not getting the job. Spoiler alert.
Thank God, Chris. Good decision there. A little bit bigoted on your point, but
yeah, I'm not very inclusive.
That's
not
the new.
Pedos.
That's going to be the new thing after trans. Is we're going to be like, hey,
yeah,
NAMBLA association. It's not so bad. Blah blah blah.
Okay, I have an article when we're finished with a few of these, just to show you quickly an overview. But yeah, I mean, like it's not. People are saying, "Oh, that's the next taboo that's going to be accepted." It's already accepted. The next taboo is eating other people.
Oh yeah, I saw a meme about that today too. Is like 4 different articles about why isn't cannibalism so bad, and it's also eating bugs. There's one about
Yeah.
eating bugs, and it's like because now there's another article from the National Post. I have a tweet from this from Maxime Bernier, and it's showing. Uh, Also, it's pushing the climate change. Like, is having too many babies hurting the climate? Yada yada yada. It's showing like 2 white people, a white baby and whatever, obviously. But it's got that, and then eating bugs. It's the planet. We're all gonna die from the climate as well. You got to eat bugs and maggots, and you gotta like it, and you might have to start eating other people eventually or something. Yeah, it's not so bad, It's a good. You'll get used to it. There's already people eating other humans.
Just this past weekend, CBC keeps replaying that. They're trying to now drill that into the public that we're running out of food and eating bugs is healthy. But there was another person who talked about that. This is the dumbest thing he's ever heard. The amount of bacteria and microbes that are in bugs that could cause serious harm to human health is incredible. So yeah,
right.
I mean,
well, I wouldn't mind trying some of those crickets or something. Just I've always wanted to try those chocolate covered crickets and stuff. And but other than that, I don't want to live like they do in some countries where they have to actually eat insects and shit. No, man.
A lot of tarantula enchiladas. Maggot fries.
Yeah, maggot fries. Why not? It's not so bad. But yeah, I'm gonna finish the article here. It's not too much more. But with his British citizenship revoked, Mr. Elicits will now be responsible if Canada is ever deported from Syria. Raj Sharma, a Calgary-based immigration lawyer, said Ottawa can't legally strip Mr. Letts of his Canadian citizenship because it would make him stateless. But this is also this guy is saying it. So Raj Sharma, maybe as a stateless signatory to the United Nations Conventions on the Reduction of Statelessness, Canada is obliged to prevent statelessness. Leigh West, a lecturer of the Norman Paterson School of International Affairs at Carleton University, said Mr. Letts will be in Syria indefinitely because the Canadian government has made no real move to repatriate Canadians. The government says it has no legal obligation to facilitate the return of Canadian citizens detained. So to facilitate the return, right? So that doesn't mean, once, I don't know, could they just ship them here? You know what I mean?
Because I never hear NIPSIA mentioned. I was going to actually do my master's at NIPSIA.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah.
NIPSIA.
That's what they call it.
It's probably a shit school because you would go there. Mr. West said it will also be harder for Canada to prosecute Mr. Letts than it would be if he returned to Britain. She explained that the easiest offense for Canadians to be charged with and convicted for is traveling to commit an offense for a terrorist organization or to facilitate terrorist activity. But the accused has to leave from Canada. He left the United Kingdom, so automatically offenses that at least I think are most likely to be successful prosecuted are off the table, she said. So because he left from the UK as opposed to leaving from Canada, he can't be prosecuted apparently for a lot of the crimes. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper passed a law in 2014 that gave Canada the power to revoke the citizenship of dual nationals who had been convicted of terrorism, treason, or espionage. So, that's our good thing Harper did. He did do a lot of decent things. The Trudeau government reversed the law in 2017 after campaigning on the slogan, "A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian," right? So, this article itself, the Globe and Mail, they're doing decent reporting. Despite Mr. Scheer's opposition to repatriating Canadian foreign fighters, his office said the Conservatives would not reintroduce grounds for revocation of Canadian citizenship that relate to national security. The Conservatives did not explain why Mr. Scheer would not reinstate the law. So, this is according to the Conservatives today that they're not going to reinstate the law to revoke the citizenship. So why not? You know, why wouldn't they? Because this is the new direction of the Conservative Party, right? Legal experts say the former law, if reintroduced, would likely lead to a legal challenge on the grounds that it would create a two-tier citizenship system. Oh well, who cares? It was the way it was before and it was fine. Now they're like, oh, we can't go back. That would make it horrible. And two-tier citizenship. Oh, what are you even talking about? No, if you have dual citizenship and you go somewhere and you commit terrorism, we revoke your citizenship. Like, Jesus Christ. Audrey Macklin, a law professor and chair in human rights law at the University of Toronto, said these kinds of citizenship revocation laws encourage an arbitrary race to see who could strip citizenship of dual nationals first. It's hard not to recall that Canada had such a law inspired by the UK itself, but now it finds itself on the receiving end of their state practice, right? So yeah, it's an arbitrary thing apparently, but it's like, no, it's not arbitrary. They don't have to deal with this guy. Now we have to deal with it. So, you know, good on the UK, I guess, for getting one up on us.
Maybe he can be closet buddies with that Chinese guy Liu. I forgot what his new Anglican name is now. But yeah, you know, they can have head on the plate for dinner.
Moo? What's his name? What did you say? Moo?
His name was Liu. Now it's like they let him out and they gave him an Anglican name. So
okay.
I don't know what he goes by. This is the guy that killed that kid. I think it was Manitoba or Alberta on the bus. And, you know, severed his head and started eating it.
Yeah. He changed his name and moved. Where is he now? What city is he in? Is he Vancouver or Montreal?
No, I think he's Ontario.
Of course he is. Jeez, of course. Why would he go? Why would you go anywhere else?
This Canadian justice system is so fucking pathetic, right? Like they shoot people that shouldn't be shot, but they let the people that should be shot out. You know what I mean? The guy was let go because they said, well, he was on his best behavior and he forgot his meds. As long as he stays on his meds, everything will be fine. But the reason he did that was because he forgot to take his meds. But anyways, Jihadi Jack and him can, you know, be bestest buddies. It's insane.
Right. Well, here, one sec. So did you say you had something you wanted to show? Because I got a couple other things if you want to.
No, you go ahead and I'll kind of wait till when you're done.
All right. Here. So I want to talk about the Ontario government release their new sex ed curriculum. So here, we'll go through their new curriculum.
I can't wait to throw that in my kid's principal's face.
Just in time for back to school.
Well, it's my kid that has to do that gender fluidity thing. And I remember when I took my daughter out last year, she flipped out, stood up, all angry. Her face was going red. And she's like, well, we're going to take Doug Ford to the courts. All right, we'll see.
Doug Ford to the courts. But, you know, the new curriculum itself is not too different. But Ontario government releases new sex ed curriculum similar to scrapped version. Well, they say it's similar, but you know, like people can opt out of this one at the very least, right? So
that is some very careful spin, as if to say, why the hell do they? Somebody glances that because nobody reads the articles and says, why the hell did he stop it to begin with if he's just going to put the same thing back in?
If you look at the Twitter of liberals, right, they say, oh, ha ha ha. The bill is 99% the same. I guess the Kathleen Wine thing was pretty good. Ha ha ha. Right. And you know, there are similarities and it's not great either. But it's not the exact same or something. It's maybe like 60% the same to some extent, but you can opt out of it, which I think
it's a pretty big difference. It's a pretty huge difference. Yeah.
Before you couldn't, now you can. And so, you know, at the very least, parents can do that, right? So So it goes, this is like sexual orientation, gender identity. So sexual orientation will be a mandatory topic taught in grade 5 earlier than in Liberal's 2015 curriculum, which had it in grade 6. So, they like you said, the spin on the article, like earlier than grade 6.
Yeah.
Students will have to identify intersecting factors that affect the development of a person's self-concept, including their sexual orientation. Gender identity will be a mandatory topic in grade 8. It was previously mandatory in grade 6. Students will have to demonstrate an understanding of gender identity, e.g. male, female, two-spirits, transgender, gender expression, and sexual orientation. Heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, asexual, and identify factors that can help individuals of all identities and orientations develop a positive self-concept. So we're still going to be teaching that, and then they're still going to be teaching, consent, which it's like whatever, don't touch and say yeah, and it's stupid shit. And cyberbullying, online safety, it's not like a terrible thing. They're like, oh, don't bully people online and shit. It's like, okay, good. Why not? Cannabis and vaping. They're like, yeah, just the harms of vaping and cannabis and shit. And then concussions, a huge things on concussions. So, they added a bunch of shit like that was not in the liberal thing before, right? So they did add a lot more things. It's not exactly the same. Kids can opt out this and that, right? So, but the media and stuff is kind of framing it like it's exactly the same, right? But not so much. But I don't know. What you guys live in Ontario, so what do you think about this whole thing with your kids and stuff?
Well,
you like the new curriculum?
Go ahead, Fred, since your kids are living it.
As I mentioned before, they were pushing my daughter to, into this gender fluidity class, and I walked into the school and I pulled her. I said, I don't want my daughter to be taking part in this. I'll teach her about sex ed when she's ready, and I'll get her a nice talk with her mother. That's it. Explain the birds and the bees, and you don't need to be teaching that right now. And then she was really upset. I said this before, and she got up. She stood up when I said, you're not allowed to teach this stuff anymore. And then she was very upset, and she says, well, we'll see about that. We're taking, that's going into the courts. And I said, yeah, we'll see about that. But I also have a right not to put my child in the school. And then I also mentioned that I'm Muslim. She knew I was full of shit because she knows I'm not Muslim. But then I said, well, my cousin is.
Excuse me.
So anyway, yeah, she didn't go to class. What they did do with her, and it was almost abusive. They stuck her in the office in a small room with nothing to do all day. So, I could have made a complaint, but whatever. She's like, whatever. So she texted me, and I went to pick her up early, and I said, I'll just bring her home. But yeah, they tend to ostracize the kids, but it's like a punishment. It's not their fault. It's like it's the parents' decision. So why are you harming the child? So obviously they don't care about the kids. They just care about their agenda. So yeah,
right.
I can't wait because my kid's supposed to be doing it this year, and I can't wait to go back and throw this shit in their face again and watch her spurg out.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of this stuff too, it's like the parents or the teachers can decide whether they want to teach it or not. Too, they're like, the teacher can say, it's not mandatory for them to teach certain topics at grade 8 or 6 or something, but they can if they want to. And it's like, obviously, most of them are going to, considering most teachers are going to be of the left-wing persuasion, right? Maybe there's going to be some Catholic and religious schools, I guess, right? So now they're not going to be forced to teach it, right? So that's good at the very least, or it's going to be not they're not going to have the option, or they don't necessarily have to do it at grade 6, but then it's mandatory at like grade 8 and all this other crap. And, you know, in my opinion, I don't even think they should be even teaching sex ed curriculum and to a large extent, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think they really need to, because, you know, as we see, they just keep adding more and more shit to it. It's like, okay, at this point, no, just stay out of it. Let the parents deal with it. We were able to teach our kids for thousands of years how to do this shit, and we survived. We made it this far. I think we can, and we didn't have government schools teaching us everything like how this is how you have sex with a girl, and this is how you don't rape her.
Right. But it's also getting pretty graphic, right? Like, you don't need that detail.
Yeah,
The whole fun of me growing up and losing my virginity was the discovery and fucking up and whatever. Like, you got the gist of it. You know, okay, this is the female parts and this is the male parts. This is how a woman gets pregnant, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to get into the details. Okay, now you stick your penis at a 30-degree angle and you extract and pump and extract and pump. Like, you don't need that. Like, it's kids and humans will discover it on their own. It'll be more exciting for them, right? And it'll be an experience. So, and I heard they were getting into the details, like how to perform fellatio. Like, no one talked about that. This is just,
right.
It's changing our children and turning them into little sluts and pedos, right? Future pedos and homos.
Well, the good news is we also have the internet to fill in the blanks for them, so we can get them to the outline. As parents, and they can look for the details online. So yeah. It's gonna be great.
Right. Right. Here, 1 second. Here, I got. Let me share this. I'll share a tweet from Manny, Ottawa. Right. So this is a tweet from Manny. What's Blue Apple's best friend, Manny, Ottawa, or pal. What is that noise in the background? Like, what is that?
Chris is twitching. Like, I think it's Chris's headset.
I'm gonna just kill somebody right away.
Or somebody's using a vibrator. It's not me.
Tell your wife to shut up.
Well, my wireless headset is apparently have less range than I thought. So go ahead.
Remember?
Go ahead, guys.
So,
before you go on to that one, can I share an article just before you go into jump in that one, because it's a little bit off, right?
Sure.
Yeah, because we were talking about sexualizing kids. So let me see if I can share with this. Share screen. Okay, I'm gonna get the window here. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Let's see here. 1 sec here. Add to share. Yeah. Girls as young as 5 walk in controversial Victoria's Secret style lingerie show. Right. Yeah. They have a couple other ones that are pretty degenerate recently too. I can't remember. There's like some with boys and stuff too, like little boys.
Now, this shit doesn't fly in China very well. Like, the Chinese are as conservative as you can get.
But look at their Chinese there.
Yeah, no, they're all Chinese. It was a modeling in Chengdu City. Young girls dressed in bikinis. How
much Chinese news do you read? From Chengdu City and Langhao Wing. What?
The child models are also sporting full makeup and their lingerie accessorized with feathers, jewels, and even wings, just like the famous Victoria's Secret angels. I mean, look at this shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's going to China. That is in China.
This is in China, in Shenzhen.
Well, they sexualize little girls a lot.
No, but this is extreme.
That is extreme, but
I mean, really, look at that pose.
All right, let's not put this on my channel. Let's actually stop showing this. Honestly, though, let's stop showing that. I don't want to get my channel removed. Like showing like kids and fucking shit. You know what I mean? But yeah. A lot of degeneracy out there, that's for sure. And
now the thing is that they're trying to now push it into like Asian countries, and a lot of the parents were saying like, I'd rather have my daughter play in mud and than that debauchery. A lot of people were really upset about this. Now the Chinese government is getting involved.
Yeah. It might just be like crossover, not even crossover, but it's just kind of seeping into other things like the culture, because people they watch our TV, they watch our media and stuff in other countries too, and they'll pick up on some of that messaging as well, and then start to infect people in their country. Because I don't know if they could really get people in China to start promoting that from the inside. Maybe there is, probably is, but I could see it also just being kind of like a seeping over from like just our culture and shit. But
and that's By Patriot actually mentioned Benjamin Levin, University of Toronto, ex-deputy
Levin.
Yeah, right. So
Levin,
it's like they penetrated all positions of power. Like Wynn introduced all that sexual ed.
Right. So one sec here. I'm just checking the chat here. Oh yeah, I like being able to read it in this so I can share and have to like go back and forth. But what was the last thing you said there, Fred?
No, I'm saying Benjamin Levin. He was accused.
Right.
He's an accused pedophile, and he was working with Premier Wynn. Like these people, they seem to be all connected to like very strange. I mean, even Trudeau is 7 degrees. I'm not saying he's engaged or involved in it, but I'm saying that it's weird that he's 7 degrees of knowing, like being a friend of the family of the Bronfman, of their daughter who's involved in Nixon. It's just
right.
People, I don't know, they all travel in the same circles.
Right. AJ, are you a fan of Mr. Alex Jones? Not really. I don't watch him. I haven't watched him. I never really watched him, like other than for kind of like laughs and shit. I'm not saying that he doesn't have good information or he hasn't like, exposed some good stuff or whatever and whatnot. Because actually, I did watch him or watch some of the coverage that they were doing during some what do you call it? Crowds or protests and stuff like that. Like they had good coverage of that a lot of the times. And Alex Jones is hilarious, right? He's just really entertaining to watch. To be honest, it's pretty funny. But other than that, yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan. Trudeau's marching with his kids in the Pride Parade. Yeah, well, obviously he's going to bring his kids to that. But what are you going to do? And what was I going to show? Oh yeah, here, let me show this. Move on from that for the moment. It's just there's only so much tranny shit that I can handle at once, and you're like, I can't handle these people anymore. So this is Manny Ottawa. He every day if you follow his Twitter, you'll see he's like, the PPC is this, the max is this, and the max and PPC and blah blah blah. And it's funny when he argues with people in his chats. He kind of, he makes himself look a lot worse, and there's almost nobody that ever supports him in the chats. And as you see, the likes get like 12 likes, 6 retweets comparatively to his other stuff. Gets a lot more. But he's like, liar. Max had a strong position on 250K immigrants a year. It was his policy for 2 years. Max said, if people don't agree, unwelcome into PPC. Then he had Twitter poll, I'm not kidding, then cut to 125K. Max pandering to alt-right in that poll. So apparently people who want, less than 100,000 immigrants in Canada now are all alt-right, according to Manny Ottawa, right? And you see people arguing with him in the chat, right? I'm not alt-right and want less than 100K a year. I want us to all live with each other for a generation, rebuild a culture we can all enjoy in the way we used to have it. If you think Trudeau is extreme at 350K, then you have to agree Bernier is also extreme at 100K. So this is like some conservative. Both are well above and below 250K. Now, the only excuse you might have is telling me Canada has been treating you horribly over the years at 250K, but be ready for a challenge. So he's like, Canada's been great. You got nothing to complain about forever, right? And Manny goes on. He's like, exactly. Canada has had 250K immigrants per year for 20 years. And he keeps going on. For 20 years, we've had this. Why change it now, right? Max was right when he fixed policy on immigration at 250K. Now he's pandering to alt-rights, right? So exactly 20 years at 250K and added in with multiculti instead of assimilation has torn at the fabric of the nation. I would like us to salvage what is left and rebuild. The amount of anti-white politics and media are a direct result of over-immigration proportion and promotion. Also a result of boomer decision-making. So that's true. So this is a guy from PPC. He's like, 150K, depending on our economy, it's a realistic number. Current rates are irresponsible. We need a Canada first approach. And he's like, don't speak in obscure sentences. Current Trudeau must resign levels at 350, too high. Max previous 250, last 20 years 250. Now Max changed after a Twitter poll. He's a joke, blah, blah, blah. But, so, he goes on, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to show the different immigration policies of the PPC and the CPC, right? I want to show the difference between the two because, it's really, they don't even compare to a large extent, right? It's just, Andrew Scheer, I'll start with his, right? So he's like, Canada is the greatest country on earth. It is built on a rock-solid foundation of enduring values, democratic institutions, the rule of law, the fundamental human rights, blah, 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 blah. They allow Canada to offer what so many other countries simply cannot, the freedom preserve. Okay, that's all crap. So in 4 years, they have not only undone the progress the previous conservative government made to strengthen our immigration system, they have managed to undermine the long-standing consensus that immigration is indeed a positive thing for this country. So this is what they're mad about. The conservatives are like, oh, now you've soured people on, fairly high rates of immigration, right? So sadly, under Justin Trudeau, a record high number of Canadians believe that immigration should be reduced. Like, oh no, like you, conservatives have questions the current government's ability to preserve the integrity of our immigration system. So blah, blah, blah. So this is his platform. So work to immediately restore fairness, order, and compassion in our immigration system. So that just means nothing. So just, remove that sentence right there. Mm-hmm. Fairness, order, and compassion and decency. Like people that use that a lot, like refugees and migrants and illegal aliens trying to get into people's borders are like, but human decency, and you got to respect my decency or something. They're like, no, I don't. Go back to your country. Put an end to illegal border crossings at unofficial points of entry at Roxham Road. Okay, so good. Close the loophole. Safe country agreement. Good. Safeguard and emphasize economic immigration. Right. Whatever. Set immigration levels consistent with what is in Canada's best interest. So, similar to, what Max is saying to some extent. Stand up for families and ensure that spouses and children can be reunited. Improve language training. Ensure that our system prioritizes people facing true persecution. Improve credential recognition and make it easier for new Canadians who have existing skills that meet our standards to ply their trades here. Work to reunite survivors of genocide. Bring back the Office of Religious Freedoms. So we can. So I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked into exactly what that is. Promote the private refugee sponsorship thing, right? So kind of bland, not terrible. Okay, good. You'll close the loophole and shit, but No real mention on the number of immigrants, right? He's bringing in. Like, he's not saying he's going to reduce it back to 250. He's not saying anything about that, right? So it's I don't know. Maybe there's a more broader context somewhere else. But I'll share Max's policy, right? And then just to compare, right? And which I think is obviously a lot better. And so and he goes into a lot more with his introduction of why we need to reduce immigration. So like the primary aim of Canada's immigration policy should be to economically benefit Canadians and Canada as a whole. It should not be used to forcibly change the cultural character and social fabric of our country, right? So it's good that he mentions that, and it should not be put to excessive financial burdens on the shoulder of Canadians to pursuit of humanitarian goals. So facts. So right now, only 26% of all immigrants and refugees who come to Canada every year are directly chosen. They have the right qualifications and work experience to fill our economic needs. The rest are dependents, spouses, and children come through the family reunification program. So Scheer said he wanted to increase that program, or as refugees do not work or do not have the skills that we need, even if they find work, right? So exactly, now they start to compete for other jobs that don't have any, like, a true lacking, right? There's a lot of fake scarcity of labor that people say, all these Indian trucking companies are like, we need more immigration. I need to bring my cousin Rahat and this and that and all these other people over so I can employ them at this company. And then they can go and kill a bunch of hockey players as well or something, But not to say that regular Canadians don't get in car accidents too and shit. But nonetheless, that guy was really undertrained and whatnot. And nepotism isn't a really good thing for business. You get a lot of unskilled people in there. Immigrants generally have lower wages than non-immigrants. They pay on average about half as much in income taxes as other Canadians, but absorb nearly the same value of government services. So the Conservatives would never say this because they'll be like, well, we'll lose the immigrants and they'll hate us if we say this. A study puts the cost of taxpayers in 2014 at roughly $5,300 per immigrant living in Canada, for a total annual cost of somewhere between $27 billion and $35 billion a year, right? So demographic studies have shown that newcomers are a bit younger on average than Canadians, but not enough to have a noticeable impact on the rate of aging. The Liberal government has made matters worse by increasing the number of parents and grandparents accepted under their family reunification program. Mass immigration also inflates housing prices. More than 41% of all immigrants to Canada settle in around Toronto and Vancouver, which have some of the least affordable housing big cities in the world, right? So our immigration platform. So substantially lower total number of immigrants and refugees Canada accept every year to 100,000 to between 100,000 and 150,000, depending on economic or other circumstances. Reform the immigration point system and the related programs to accept a larger proportion of economic immigrants with the right skills. So, that obviously, if only 26% of the people coming in right now are people that are actually can do good work or make decent money or whatever, then and you remove the 70% of people, then that's going to be a lot less. So you could increase that 27% to, I don't know, 35%. It's still substantially less. It would still be like 100,000 people or whatnot. So, that would still be a lot better for Canada. It's still not perfect. It's still not great. I would still obviously want less to some extent, but whatever. Except fewer resettled refugees, see refugee policy. So that's good. Andrew Scheer isn't talking about accepting less refugees, and limit the number of immigrants accepted under the family reunification program, including abolish the program for parents and grandparents. So, that's going to be a good thing because, you know, at the very least, you know, if you are going to reunify, I can understand, like, yeah, maybe a kid or something, bring your kid or your wife or something. I don't know. But your grandparents, your old parents and shit that are most definitely going to be a burden on the system right away. So that should just be common sense. And fuck all the people that are like, but my nana and my papa. Oh, I don't care. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't care. I care more about Canadians and my family more than your family. That's just the gist of it. Change the law to make birth tourism illegal. So there we go. That's another thing that the Conservatives aren't talking about. They didn't say they're going to make birth tourism illegal, and that's a really good, easy fix to solve a lot of problems in Canada, or at least to stop a lot of the border crossers trying to come across and shit, right? Because once again, the what do you call it? The Conservatives could close the safe third country agreement, right? But we're signed into that UN Global Compact for Migration, so a lot of people could just come across the border anyways, and it would be like, oh, well, you have to take us in because, you know, everybody's a legal migrant now. Ensure that every candidate for immigration undergoes a face-to-face interview and answers a series of specific questions to assess the extent to which they align with Canadian values and social societal norms. So, you know, that makes sense just to at least have a face-to-face. Increase resources for CSI, RCMP, and Canadian immigration citizenship to do interviews and thorough background checks on all classes of immigrants. So, yeah, like, why not have really good background checks on the people that are coming into the country? Sure. You know, so nothing I can really get too mad about, really. A lot better than what Andrew Scheer's providing. And if anybody hasn't signed that petition to get them onto the debates, I suggest that you at least sign a petition and shit, because even if you don't support him, don't like them, like that's bullshit that they're keeping them out of the debates, right? That's complete bullshit. And the reasoning behind it is just because they don't have 4% or they don't have a previous candidate that was elected or something, not because the PPC isn't disclosing their financials like Blue Apple thinks or something. I'm like, no, it's because, you know, they say the reason why, but let's see here. So what do you guys think? What do you think about the platforms of the CPC and the PPC when it comes to immigration? And Manny Ottawa, what's your opinions on these guys?
Well, I think that Scheer had indicated that under his leadership, I think a direct quote was that under his leadership, the Conservative Party would move to the center. So here you have the Liberals who are gone way over to the left. You've got the Conservatives who are now the center. You've got the NDP who are off in space. And then I guess you have the PPC coming up and representing the right now. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that Scheer is kind of putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. I'm not really surprised at all. He's very afraid of being seen as hateful and
Right.
falling into that identity politics garbage versus, doing what he thinks is right. So,
well, like I was arguing with Blue Apple today on her comments, and it was about Salim Mansour, right? That Islamic guy,
Salim Mansour,
right? That got kicked out of the CPC because, or they didn't make him a candidate because, he's an outspoken, anti-Islamist. Like, that's the reason. It's because he's an outspoken anti-Islamist, and Blue Apple's like, no, it's because they had a much better candidate, and that's why. And you're just playing identity politics or something. I'm like, what? What? I'm playing identity politics? Like, no, they kicked them out because he's an outspoken anti-Islamist, and they didn't want to offend the Muslim people that they went to try to go to that center the other day. was like, hey, I want your vote, I want your support, right? So those people don't like people like Salam, whatever, right? Because he's like anti-Islamist, right? Not even anti-Islam, right? That guy's like a Muslim, but people are so blind and so partisan. They're not gonna like look at it like, you could. I wouldn't even care if you still supported the CPC if you could at least acknowledge, yeah, they're cucks and yeah, but whatever. I think it's the best shot. Be like, okay, I get it. I understand, but if you're gonna like just completely ignore everything and be like, blah blah blah, oh no, they're great, and I'm gonna make excuses for them now, and you're like, really? Like, that's just pathetic. At least be able to say they're crap, but they're better than Trudeau or something, right? Or at least they're not Trudeau, whatever, right? But whatever. So what was your opinion, Frederick, there? You still there?
I like the guy. I mean, I don't like the guy per se because he's a politician, but God damn it, I told you I'm voting for him because it's everything he's saying.
What about Manny Ottawa? Then what's your opinion about him?
I don't think and those are the comments he was saying that he sounds like Blue Apple.
I know, right?
And is it Blue Apple? Like, how do we know it's not? Right? I don't know who this individual is personally. I'm not too much on the Twitter universe. I am kind of
right
now, but it just sounds like another Blue Apple. You're not making any valid points. Yes, even myself when he first entered politics, and yeah, I want to know where the money's coming from. But you know what? We all know that the money that's coming from politicians is usually from big business. Can you expect it otherwise? You can't compete in a political sphere without that money. There's just no way.
It's like, yeah, she was questioning me. She's like, you said you were going to ask. I'm like, I don't know when I said that. I just think I said like a while ago on a stream, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd like to know. Why not? Go ask or something, right? And
yeah,
I was telling her, you have as much of a line to him that I do. Like, I don't have a fucking phone call, or I don't have a direct line to him. I don't care enough to be like, and I'm like, you can go to his rallies next time they're in your city, go ask him yourself, or make the phone call. I'm sure you can probably even get into contact with him or something on the phone. At this point in his candidacy, he's going to take as much help as he can get type thing. He will probably receive phone calls from people type thing, right? Get on a phone call and be like, I would really like to know who funds your campaign and why haven't you disclosed your finances?
It's irrelevant. No one's asking anyone else to disclose it because we all know where they get their money. Who gives a shit at this point, right? Political or no political, right? We can all look at them at the same way, right? Always looking for themselves. But who gives a shit because he's saying the right things? Voting for him is a middle finger to the other parties. I mean, have you seen Elizabeth May's Twitter? Holy shit, that woman's crazy. Yeah. She said in the last Twitter a week ago, which I responded to, that the world was going to end in October. She's like, these people are insane. So I just want to share an article.
But I was going to say before you share, though, is that a good example, too, of like how similar a lot of these parties are right now is that like Max is not even allowed on the debate stage right now, right? And even though he's not allowed on the debate stage and stuff, like he's still having an effect on the election because of his stance on climate change. And now a lot of these people, they're like, oh, our charity status is going to be threatened if because of Maxim positions and blah blah blah.
Yeah, so money won't be flowing anymore.
Taxpayer money to go and pay and buy ads to promote climate change. Like, oh, I don't give a shit. But that only happened because Max had, he's taken the right position on climate change, and the conservatives are too afraid to do it. All these other people are too afraid to do it, and it would have just, they would have been able to just spend tons and tons of money. But now they're like, oh, we're going to lose if we spend more than $500. We're going to have to classify as a third party, and we're, yada, yada. And it's only for charities, right? So it's the charities that are mad about this. Because if you're still a private person, so you can still give your money and promote climate change and shit or whatever during the campaign. But it's just like, it's these charities that are tax subsidized. They're like, oh, but
they
gotta spend your money and now I can't. You're mean, you meanie.
Yeah, the board members won't be able to get another yacht to sail behind. Fuck,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. But go ahead. Sorry with your. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, I agree. Like I just can't stand when Blue Apple goes on this tirade about show. Like it sounds like she sounds like a CPC shill. Has she not seen the shit that Michelle Rampol has been pushing for the last year, and like what she's been saying, and people she's been blocking these people, and they've made statements that they're going to go to more to the center, and they're not going to the center; they're going to the left. So if you can't address people's concerns, or people challenge you on your Twitter handle or your YouTube and you start blocking them, then, my question is back to Blue Apple. Who cares about the money when people are asking the CPC for these issues and their concerns, and they're just being brushed aside? No different than the liberals are doing to people. But I have an article here from the Huff Post, of all fucking people, so I don't know the entire spin on it, but they didn't give a very flattering look on Bernier here, and I'm sure some of his statements have been made or taken out of context, but who gives a shit, because the point is there. Bernier claims Islamist extremists have infiltrated Canadian politics, and it has, right? Islamic extremists are infiltrating Canadian political parties, Maxime Bernier told reporters on Sunday, alleging that political party leaders are playing footsie with them to get the votes. I like that. That's perfect. I don't know. Are you sharing my screen? Sorry.
Oh,
yeah. I was thinking, why is it not coming up? Hold on. Yeah, perfect. So as I was saying, it's not a very flattering face. It's like, he's not. Dear Islamic extremists at my table. That's not very flattering there. They could have done a better picture, make him look like some guy who's angry and ranting. But like I said, who cares? If the point sticks, then so be it. It says here, the leader of the PPC was responding to questions about whether he shares views espoused by the guest speaker at his party inaugural conference. Benjamin Dechter contended that the Liberal Party of Canada is infested with Islamists, and that Canada is suffering from the stench of cultural relativeness and political Islam. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Dichter, a last-minute 2015 Conservative candidate stand-in in Toronto, Danforth, Bernier offered some of his own views. If we don't talk about this now, and we don't talk about immigration at the same time, our country risks becoming something it isn't. And in 25 or 50 years, he said, in French. So they're trying to, I'm sure they've taken some stuff out of context, but I'm
in French.
Yeah. Like, who cares? He's French. Actually, there was a interview. I don't know if you watched. I sent it to you on the Telegram. He did an interview on the radio, and it was a great, I think, Chris, you listened to that interview as well, right?
Yeah. I think I sent it over to you. That was on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
With Bill Crystal, I think, who is 100% on the PPC train based on that interview. It was nice. It was like an hour long. Kind of him and Max just talking about the platform, and
it was a very good interview.
Yeah, it was very good.
It was a good drive to work today, listening to him. And I know he struggled. English is his second language, but who gives a shit? Again, you can laugh at the guy, but there's two official languages in this country. It's French and English. So he speaks one of them better than the other. Doesn't matter.
Right.
But, sorry?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Chris, if you want to post that link to that interview, it was great.
Yeah,
I
I'll
really
dig it up and send it. Drop the link in the chat. Yeah, definitely. Everybody in the chat, I recommend that you. I mean, if you have to break it up over a few sessions, it's a little bit less than an hour. But I'll post the link in the chat. I'll dig it up and find it in our little script thing here, and we'll definitely check it out when you have a chance. Very good interview.
So look at Andrew Scheer. He went out of his way to meet Islamist extremists to get their votes, Bernie asserted, offering little evidence.
This is perfect. We want the media to you want Bernie to do stuff like this. The media reports on it, right?
So you see how they put these little slight twists in the words that they speak. So look at Andrew Scheer. He went out of his way to meet extremists to get their votes. I'm sure that was taken out of context if you put that sentence with others, right? And then they say offering little evidence. There's a video.
Right. Well, you know, it's to their minds. Yeah, it's no evidence, right? But
right. Well, you know, it's like trying to convince a very pious person that there were dinosaurs, and you throw a dinosaur fossil at their head and dinosaur. Anyway, or you tell someone that the Earth is not flat and it's not a spaceship, and they still want to argue with you. But anyway, that was a jab at Blue Apple. You reproached me for having my picture taken with someone at a public event that I didn't know, Bernie told journalists. Remember that photo with the supposed Nazis and they weren't, right? Bernie told journalists, referring to the picture, he has posed with a white nationalist and members of an alleged hate group. So if you're calling someone a hate group, but it's alleged, then how can you go and call them a hate group?
Right. Well, the whole thing about hate groups, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, it's just a made-up term, right? Made by leftists to label on groups that they dislike. This is a hate group. And I was reading a story because there's a story I was going to share about this guy in Winnipeg. I don't know if you heard about it, who is a part of, he's in the military, right? And he just got his house raided because apparently he's a part of like a white nationalist group called like the Base or something, right? And there's that. But what was I going to show? The Proud Boys. But sorry. What were you saying right before that? I lost my train of thought.
No, I was just going to try to finish. I'll just finish up this article. And then, so it says here, Bernie's, where did I get? Bernier, the party said, was referring to Omar Subudar, a Toronto area imam who has been the subject of controversial conservative rebel media videos, as well as recent posting in Jihad Watch. Subudar told the HuffPost Canada Monday that Bernie's allegations are untrue, and he is just waiting for the right moment to use the Canadian system against him. So basically, he wants to now sue, like what they're going after Joe Hayes for Maxime Bernier. Sue him for what, though? He hasn't said anything that's he hasn't identified anyone. He hasn't personally brought a person's name, so there's no what do you call it? Attack on the person. What's that called? There's a term for it. I can't recall right now.
Well, yeah. I remember my point though is hate groups, right? It's a really interesting term if you really think about it. Like, what the fuck is a hate group? Are they going to label Islam a hate group? If you read the Islamic, the Quran or whatever, would that be considered some of the things that they advocate? Would that be a hate group? I was reading this one article. They're talking about the Base because I was researching the group he was in, and the Vice just did a piece on him a couple days ago, talking about how they have places all over the place, and they're gonna have a hate rally, and they're gonna go and they have hate meetings. I'm like, did they actually call it a hate rally? Did they actually? Okay, guys. We're going to go meet in our hate rallies and promote hatred. It's clearly a made up bullshit nonsense. Even the KKK, is that really a hate group? No, it's more of like a white supremacist group. I guess, yeah, they hate other people, But if you ask them, some of them will be like, I don't hate black people. I just want white people to be blah, 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 or whatever, right? So, yes, okay, sure. If they're a hate group, then Islam is a hate group. Then this is a hate group, and this is a hate group, then Antifa is a hate group. Anything that promotes any type of violence at any time, one group in their member, hate group. You know, it's bullshit.
Yeah, and it's these people that in Toronto in the summer, in the early summer, were marching and speaking against hate, you know, against their fellow cousins, the little hats. Which is funny because Rebel Media was there and like, yeah, this death to Israel, right? So what the hell's going on? And then Subedar adds that the rebels' videos, Subedar said, distorted the message he was sharing. It distorted the message, dude. It was right in front of you. I am teaching men to go out and beat their wives. But what did you say in the video? How are you distorting that?
Right.
It's there on the video, right? Subedar was explaining that the Prophet's teaching, contextualizing them, he said, almost every major imam who is in Canada has been found saying something with respect to a particular verse because it has something that you have to deal with. He split, yeah, like beating your woman. Explaining the Quran passage that appears to suggest men beat their wives lightly. Dude, just get the fuck out of Canada because... You know, you can't spin beating your woman any other way, or one of the three or one of the four. I don't know. The Muslim cleric said he has no idea what Bernier is talking about regarding Islamic extremists infiltrating political parties, calling the suggestion completely ludicrous and unjustified. My personal opinion is he's trying to create a base that is hostile to people of color. Yeah, of course. So last I checked, you were like a different shade of white, but fine. The Imam said that the first attack against him on the Rebel came when he posted a picture with then Liberal Justin Trudeau in 2014. The second happened this spring after he photographed with Scheer. Anyways, I won't get too much into this, but yeah. So that's it. Like, I mean, how can you not go out and vote for this guy? Like, trust me, Chris knows me really well. I'm not the type of guy to go and vote. I
don't think you've ever voted in the almost 20 years that I've known you.
Right. I mean, the last time I voted, and I was for Rob Ford, right? But it was more of like a joke, right?
Joke's on us. Thanks, buddy.
But no, this time I'm actually voting because it's yes, you know, he could be. You know, he could break all his promises and whatnot, but he's the first among a bunch of politicians to ever speak about immigration, or changing cultural society, the gender fluidity thing. He's the first one to vocalize it. So in that sense, you know what? I'm going to support what's being vocalized.
Right.
And
what more can you do, you know?
Right. And, you know, we have to work with what we got. And until that time comes, right? Until that time comes where, you know, we need to go a little step further than what we got, then fine. But right now, let's see what happens. It can't get any worse.
Until we get our guns, but that was a joke.
I disavow.
There might be some.
You're joking. It's a joke.
Journalist from HuffPo or Vice watching this. Probably not, but just in case, you know, just know that you'll be taking me out of context.
So what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the whole identity politics thing has been way overblown. I mean, not to say there aren't things to be concerned about, but it's been way overblown and it's being weaponized is probably the best way I could put it. And I mean, there's a short-term election concerns, but I'm more concerned about society as a whole getting past this eventually, even if we can. I mean, it's just been so poisonous in all regards. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But regarding Maxime Bernier, just to go back to the candidates, I mean, Scheer is basically a milk toast, pudgy faced, dimpled version of like a light Trudeau and a very light Bernier. Like he is really in the middle. He's really moved his party to the middle. And I mean, I didn't think the choice would be as clear as it is, but as the more information is being released about their platforms, it's becoming especially clear. So,
well, it was really interesting too. I mean, what was the name of that guy on the radio show? That
Bill Crystal, the
Bill
interviewer?
Crystal.
Yeah,
and he kept bringing it up. It was hilarious. I was like, yes, because he's like, yeah, you were actually you were going to win the candidacy for the CPC.
Yes,
They brought in more voters. They brought in these like voters. They kept, and he kept bringing that up. It was hilarious.
He said he brought in more of the CPC.
Yeah.
The Conservative Party had more votes than there were voters. And then when they announced the winner, like in the second breath, they said, "Oh, and we're destroying the ballots." Oh, sorry, and the ballots have been destroyed. So it's like Scheer, if I remember correctly, Scheer wasn't even in second place on the second ballot. Like he was somewhere down the ballot, and I guess through a consolidation of people dropping out, I guess support kind of came and lifted up Scheer to just barely, even after that, squeak past Bernier, even after all the shenanigans with votes, barely squeaked past him. And it's kind of like the CPC said, anybody but Bernier. And I guess they figured Scheer was a sufficient enough puppet to make things happen. So, yeah.
Right.
Because even Kevin O'Leary, when he dropped out, he endorsed Bernier. And he was kind of the presumptive front runner, or at least said he would end up that way because of his celebrity and whatnot.
Well, what did Scheer do? As soon as he won, he drank a carton of milk.
Yeah, well, he supports our dairy farmers and the cartel, and let's not turn this into supply management again. But
I'm just saying. Well, speaking of that, right? I have a story on that actually.
Okay.
But it's, what do you call it? He drank that, and that I'm pretty sure were probably the people that were also stacking his votes. Right, so it was kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Thanks for stacking the vote for me, guys.
Yep.
And it's so blatant, right? Just right on the podium, just big carton of milk. like that's like some kid that like antagonized you or something, and then they run behind a teacher and they're like, like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you fucking the moment I fucking get you by yourself or something like that, right? But it's just like, fuck, man. But I was gonna show a tweet from Max though earlier too. It's like, this is how crazy the climate change cult has become, right? So shared the story, is it immoral to have babies in the era of climate change, right? So it's good that he shows that, and it's at the very least, and look, like 1,200 likes. That's pretty good for a Canadian politician, whereas probably Scheers are getting like 300, 400 maybe, because a lot of it's just milquetoast bland. He's trying to appeal to the biggest, largest, broadest audience, and it's not appealing. Like what happens in movies and stuff where a lot of times they try to appeal to everybody. Well, then it just ends up being kind of shitty and nobody really likes it, because it's like, you're going for, too much of a wider audience. You kind of dumb it down for everybody or something. But, people can handle hardcore positions on immigration or climate change, or not even hardcore. It's become hardcore now because everybody's become so far pushed to the other side or whatever, right? In the belief that it's like, if you don't believe it, you're stupid, and 97% of scientists all believe, and if you don't, you're a piece of shit. But I'm gonna go on my jet and fly around and go to different countries and tell them how bad climate change is and shit. So like, I don't really believe that you think it's true yourself. But speaking of the dairy cartel, though, I got one quick story. And Trudeau now just writing checks. Liberals' dairy payout could deepen competitiveness concerns, critics say. So, Canada, 1.7 billion compensation package for dairy farmers will be based on hypothetical losses rather than hard evidence of lost profits due to trade deals, food policy analysis say, right? So there's no actual losses, but he's going to give them billions of dollars to make up for the changes that he did make that would have reduced prices somewhat, a little bit at the very least. But now it's like, no, we're just going to subsidize you, so it's not going to do anything. What's more, the payout risk exacerbating competitiveness issues in the industry by failing to link compensation to productivity benchmarks. So, just another thing, okay. A 2014 study by IFCN Dairy Research Center of the University of Kiel in Germany found the cost of milk production by mid and large size farms in Canada was the second highest in the world after Switzerland. So we get the highest price after Switzerland. Switzerland. Do you know anything about Switzerland?
They're neutral.
I mean, they're a rich-ass fucking country because everybody keeps their money there and shit. Like, and everything costs a lot of fucking money. So for us to pay the same amount for milk or product that they're paying and shit is pretty ridiculous. And where dairy doesn't look like doesn't like to look to the government for payments. We'd rather have the market share, but we're very pleased with the package he added.
Right.
And supply management provides a predictable pricing that encourages farmers to invest more in their operations to be more efficient. So that's funny. It's like, we're going to be more efficient, but we're the second most expensive.
But in Switzerland, a garbage, like a garbage worker, like people who pick up your garbage, makes about $100K a year. So who cares how fucking expensive? That's bullshit there. My uncle lives in Zurich. I've been there every year skiing in Zermatt, and he's near Volketsville. But the people live very nicely there. Yeah, it's expensive, but trust me,
we're not Switzerland.
Huh?
We're not Switzerland.
Right, we're not Switzerland, so
we don't have people throwing money into our country like they do in Switzerland, right? And they don't have tons of immigrants rushing their border, and they don't have mass immigration. They don't have all this shit that we have in our country. So it's like
people do very well in Switzerland. They do very well.
That they're one of the countries in Europe. Do they have to take in a ton of migrants?
Nope. Switzerland won't.
No, they won't. They don't have any of the same things. So it's not. I'm saying it's not a good comparison. Like, yeah, okay. The garbage men
yeah.
Good.
Look, the Swiss are some of the most arrogant fucks on the planet. Trust me. I've been there shopping around. Like, we were looking for pewter. Pewter's a big thing in Switzerland, and like we were literally being followed around the store because they knew, like, we look Slavic, right? So they were following around, like, they just don't like foreigners, and they make it well known. So
yeah. So that's just a quick story. Just I want to kind of get that out of the way. There's this one story that's from the UK that's pretty fucked up that I want to kind of cover, because it's a police leader calls for laws to allow positive race discrimination. So, they want to, because they're not getting their diversity quota enough. They're going to be like, so now we're just going to start discriminating against white men. And this is what happens when you employ women in positions of power. Is Chris sleeping or something?
It happens sometimes. I'm trying to call him.
I'll mute him.
He literally works like 15-hour days and looks after.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, I'm not mad or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Am I hearing snoring?
Very engrossing conversation. Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Put me to sleep. Yeah, no, sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry, folks in the chat. Feel free to roast me. Feel free to roast away.
I was
Like
calling
goes
you on Telegram to give you a little bit of a wakey.
No, I have the notification noise turned off so it doesn't pop up in the notification. My apologies, everybody. I'm back. Hey, how are you?
you're cut.
Hey.
You're
Yeah,
cut.
thanks. No problem, man. Fine.
cut.
Out of the family.
Yeah.
Cut. They're saying the chat's saying Chris bought sleep mode.
Basically.
Yeah, so I was explaining you work like a dog, right? So.
This is this bitch that's hired in the UK, right? Police leader calls for laws to allow positive race discrimination. So, radical new laws should allow police to positively discriminate in favor of minority ethnic recruits. Otherwise, the ranks of officers will be too white for decades to come, the leader of Britain's police chief has said. So, let's change this to too Jewish, too black, too Asian for decades to come. We need to change this. In an interview to mark the 20th anniversary of Macpherson report into the death of Stephen Lawrence. So they're still talking about this guy who got killed by, like, I don't know, a Nazi in 1993 or something. It's like 30 years ago. Sarah Thornton said police had made huge progress, but unconscious bias still exists, and the way they used their powers needed to be seen to be fair, right? So Thornton said new laws should be passed to shock the system. Since 1999, police have been trying to get the proportion of officers from ethnic minorities to match their proportion in the populations they serve. So they're doing the exact same thing in Canada too with universities. Remember, I was reading that article about university and diversity running amok in the staff, and how they're trying to hire now to the proportions that the population is. So it doesn't even matter. Like before, what they would do, it's like if there was, I don't know, 60% white students, 20% black, 10% Asian or something, they try to get that representation in there, right? That's still not really good either. I don't like that either. But now they're doing it to the population a lot of the time. So even if there's 5% Aboriginal or something in there, and they want 15% representation, well, they're gonna like just hire all that 5% to those positions, above other people, and it's gonna be ridiculous. And they're gonna lower qualifications and shit like that to get more people in, which they have done in Canada for the the army. They lowered the qualifications there as well, and they're in the police force to allow criminals and people with criminal records and shit. So who is that for to bring it? Like we know it's
for the pedo I interviewed today for a job. Jeez.
Yeah, right. So but not one of the 43 forces in England and Wales has achieved that, and it will be 2052 at the earliest before that happens. So we got to wait like 20 years before that happens. That's too long. It is likely to be even decades beyond that if, as expected, the minority ethnic population grows. Thornton said her personal view was that positive discrimination was needed, that that is unlawful at the moment. If you want to do something to give a shock to the system and say we can't wait to 2052, I think we need to do something different. While 14% of the population are from an ethnic minority, just 7% of police in England and Wales are, up from 2% when Macpherson reported 20 years ago, right? So it will take a long time. The turnover of police officers is really quite slow. So it is about 6% a year. It's always going to take you a long time. It's about whether we can wait, she said. So, she wants to start discriminating. 1356 is expected to be announced on Friday as the government new anti-slavery commissioner. Like, what? What's an anti-slavery commissioner? That's why I was reading this. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, what do they do?
They commission against slavery.
Like, Where? Like in their country? Like, is there slavery going on in the UK now? It probably is. There probably is.
Well, yeah. There's human trafficking and
Right.
grooming of UK girls for Muslims. So
Right.
yeah, definitely.
That's just
So-
a conspiracy theory. You're a racist.
On their website,
True, I am. Go ahead.
sorry, on their website, on the Office of the Independent Anti-Slavery Commissioner, CBEQPM is the UK's independent anti-slavery commissioner. The role of the commissioner was created as one of the key provisions of the Modern Slavery Act of 2015. Modern slavery is the umbrella term encompassing slavery, servitude, forced or compulsory labor, and human trafficking. Victims of modern slavery are unable to leave their situation and exploitation, sort of like Muslim wives, controlled by threats, punishment, violence, sort of like Muslim wives, coercion, and deception. Slavery violates human rights, denying people the right. Okay, so they have this like little graphic here. 40 million people live in slavery today. Okay. 151 million of children are victims of child labor. You know what this sound? They're partnering up with the NHS, which is the National Health Service of the UK, also with immigration. A couple of news articles here: 35 potential victims of human trafficking safeguarded in UK across Europe operation. So another department where your tax dollars need to go when they shouldn't. So
Right. But
there's no slavery in UK.
Right. Yeah. Like the UK is just a joke at this point. It's funny to see I love seeing the UK police post pictures of the weapons that they've confiscated. It's always like a butter knife and
What's next? I thought it was erasers. Erasers was on the list.
It's just the most ridiculous things most of the times. But she goes on. She's like, Thornton said unconscious bias still existed in policing, and there were problems in promotion and minority ethnic officers being more likely to face disciplinary action. If we like ourselves, we prefer people who are like ourselves because we understand them and they are familiar. People who aren't like ourselves, sometimes we feel less comfortable with. What are those stereotypes we sometimes just fall into? She added that unconscious bias training had been introduced to combat this. So, re-education camps, to get over your fear of the other or whatever, but a lot of the times there's legitimate reasons for people to be wary or fear certain groups of people. Like, in the UK, if you go in to a no-go zone and there's a bunch of Muslims around, you should probably believe the stereotypes and probably leave that area and not assume you're going to be welcome. Maybe you will be. I don't know. But I don't know if you want to take that chance per se. But I do think we can have policies and procedures that can unintentionally discriminate. She gave the example of one large force, Greater Manchester, holding a promotion board during Ramadan when Muslim candidates would be fasting and thus possibly physically weaker and at a disadvantage. So she brings up the Muslim.
Didn't the Jews try to do the same thing here in Canada recently with the timing of the October election and some holiday they have down there that would interfere with a high holiday or something? Like, come on, like this.
They did that, right? With they're like, the election. They're like, you should move it because it's gonna interfere with our Hanukkah or something. Like, fuck off, man! Like,
seriously,
this is not a Jewish country, okay? It was not. Go to Israel if you want. They'll take you in. Like, they'll take you. If you're Jewish, they'll let you go. Go there, and then you can live like and go and fast or eat, and then same with the Muslim people. They can go and yell and scream at the top of their lungs in their own countries and keep people up at 4 or 5 in the morning with like yelling and shit. But but I love how she brings up, just for example, it was during Ramadan and a promotion board, and they're probably physically weaker, and just blah blah blah. It's fuck off, seriously. Well, you know, stop being a Muslim then. That's all I have to say. Thornton said for marginalized communities, and I love how they marginalized, just that it's like that assumption, right? You know, they're marginalized. Well, how? Because they're poor, and a lot of them are poor. Well, why? Because you're racist and white supremacy and discrimination. No, there's nothing to do with them. No, it's like marginalized. Like how are these people marginalized? It's like that woman I showed before you guys showed up. She was living in a crate in the UK, right? Because they're putting these refugees in like shipping containers, right? Like putting them side by side and like making them into living places. And she's complaining. She's like, "How are you putting me here? This is disgusting, and making me live in this shithole. Blah blah blah. And I have 4 kids." And it's like, well, you're just expected to be put up in a home and all this shit. It's like, Jesus Christ, people are so fucking entitled. It's ridiculous. But, you know, is that woman marginalized? Are we marginalizing her because she's living in a shipping fucking crate? It's like, no, there's no room. A lot of people would love to be in that woman's situation. A lot of homeless people probably sleeping on the streets were like, I wish they built me a fucking sea can to live in with a bedroom and a kitchen and like because it was
just tell her that's how people in the UK live. She'll go back home in a flash.
Well, it's just ridiculous, you know. And are those people, you know, marginalized communities? Policing can represent a tyranny of state power. Let's be candid about this. If within communities there's a sense of being over-policed and underprotected, it's not the sort of occupation parents are going to encourage their youngsters to get involved in. You know, like, sure, right? If people do feel like, you know, the police are after them, yes, they're probably less likely. But why do we need to diversify? Because in their minds, it'll be less racist, right? Because just get rid of white people, make them lessen the amount that are in there, and then discrimination will go away, this will go away, all these other things will go away, and these communities that are committing more crime will now commit less crime because they see Muslim police and brown and Asian and whatever police faces. Now it's like, well, you know, I was gonna rob that bank, but you know what, then I saw that black police officer, that Asian or brown one, and I was like, you know what? No. That's like, no, they're still gonna fucking rob shit. People are still gonna be crime. It's not gonna change a thing. It's just bullshit. Like, you know, that's why I hate it. It's like the people in those communities and those places, a lot of people are victims of shit, are going through a lot of violence and shit. And yeah, I don't want people to go through that shit, but this type of shit is not going to help anybody. It's not going to do anything. Diversifying every fucking aspect of our lives is not going to fix anything. It's not going to make anybody's life better. It's just going to make things worse, right? Because then when you start promoting people on race and stuff, and just so blatantly like this, and then calling for positive discrimination of white people, do you think that this is, of course, it's going to create tension between groups? Of course, people who see other minorities hired in positions like this are going to assume they're going to be a minority hire. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're great for that position and they worked really hard, but now all of their other people who got in there, because they're going to assume that of them. So it's just going to create more problems in the long term. But, you know, either these people are really stupid or they're doing it on purpose, right? Stephen Lawrence, they bring up Stephen Lawrence, 18, was murdered by a white racist gang at a southeast London bus stop in 1993 and Macpherson. So it's like the UK has like one racist killing and they just use it for eternity, right? Or something. I'm sure there's been more or whatever, but I mean, like, this racist killing, which is described as an institutional racism, helped the killers escape justice, you know, blah, blah, you know, yeah, like they're saying the police, you know, help them escape. And I don't know the story too well or whatever, but there are plenty of stories of injustice, especially when it comes to those girls that were raped by Pakistani migrant gangs and shit. A lot of them were actually charged themselves when they brought up problems to the police, or their parents were charged, or this or that. I think one dad went to go rescue one of his daughters, and the police arrested him later and like brought the girl back to the fucking Muslim rapist and shit. So there's plenty of injustice, but they only focus on shit like that so they can just divide people constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking ridiculous. But let's check out the chat here. I don't know if you got any stories you guys want to share. I probably want to close it out in a little bit while, but if you got anything else you want to share, go ahead.
That story I told you earlier about interviewing that pedo for a job today really wore me out. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, nope, I don't have anything else for today. There is more I could talk about, but I'm also looking at the clock. I don't want to have things go too late. So maybe some things I have to wait until the weekend. Right.
Well, yeah, I guess we can save some stories or whatnot. But if you got anything pressing or whatnot, it's all good. But yeah, but this is ridiculous. Like, how they're like, the police leader calls for laws to allow positive race discrimination. Like what do you think about that, Frederick?
I think it's. What else can I say? Again, another bullshit commie pushing a bullshit narrative, which sounds, again, like a little hat narrative. What can I say? It's social engineering at the highest level across the West, from top to bottom and bottom to top. And,
right.
That change will be swift when it hits them in the face, when they see it doesn't work. Right. For now, these people, they're okay because, their grass is green. But when that grass starts to soil, we'll see. They'll be whistling a different tune. So,
right.
I mean, you can't socially engineer a mass of people. Maybe you can socialize half of them, but the only other option because what you can have is strife. Like in the, I think it was the 2004 or 2006, Taiwan had a massive election, and literally the country was split in two, right? You had the original inhabitants of Taiwan, and then you had the Chinese immigrants, and who wanted to be didn't want separation, or autonomy. They wanted to be a part of China. So the country was like, there was feuds on the street, beating up each other and stuff. You can't function like that as a society. You're not going to change the hearts and minds of people who are common sensed, or, you can't change the minds. We've saw that with commies. So you're never going to be able to socially engineer people like ourselves and people in the chat, or Chris, to accept transsexualism and all of this, kind of pedo mentality. The fact that we need to give up
Speak
more
for yourself.
And oh shit, now you made me derail my thought train. But
they're not going to be able to make us believe in all the tranny shit.
And the only thing is that they can, but it'll have to be through physical force, and I don't think these people are willing to go that far yet. So across Europe, people are going, populist governments are being voted in. I think Canada may be next, and maybe not this election, but certainly I think we'll have a few seats, and, just wait for the next election as people really start to wake up. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I think it will be, there is a trend of, we see this trend going where these populist parties are just shooting up some years. I think there's a party in Germany right now that's rivaling Merkel or something out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And because people will just wake up quickly to this shit. And, one day, and because it happens fast, time moves quick. And, the older you get, the more you realize like how quickly time moves, right? So you're like, whoa, that was 10 years. And then, so people, they just go throughout their day, their time, whatever. And then all of a sudden they wake up and they're like, oh shit, everything is changed. Like my whole country is completely different. Okay. Yeah. We need to stop this. We need to change this. This is, I've been asleep for a little while. I'm paying attention, and I don't like what I'm seeing. Right. But there's this little thread here that I found of this one guy too, and just more kind of like anti-white shit. That's just funny what like some people complain about. So this guy's like Samir Juraj. I don't know where the fuck he's from. Some place that Pakistan or something. Yeah, that flag. I don't know about flags, but work in race equality journal, co-author of The Rent Trap, coordinators, blah blah blah. So work in race equality. So this guy he makes a thread about complaining about how white charities are and how there's so many white people in charities. And I don't know
this guy. I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna troll him.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this meme where it's on Twitter where it's like, damn, white people enrolls the dice and their charity, and it's like, damn, white people rolls the dice, and it's like walking dogs in parks. It's just like the most ridiculous shit because it's just like a meme now because it's like roll the dice, and then I saw that I think they said it for this thing too, like you got to follow Orwell in good. That guy's pretty fucking hilarious. Go to his Twitter account and I'll try to share it later. But like I find a lot of good stuff on there, like just hilarious stuff. And I think I found this on here. But, he goes in a little thread on charity so white. It's just funny how people are just too many white people. This charity is ridiculous. In my day job at a race equality organization, I often get approached by people from other charities about how they can be less white and more diverse. Like, why? Why is it so bad that they're white? We don't like this image. People will think we're Nazis or something. We need to diversify it. Like, they're going to start turning away white people from doing like good charity. Like, we got too many of you to help these orphan kids. Sorry, you're not the right skin color or something. We need more Asians and blacks or something. Most of these are sincere.
And push that fucking shit in your own goddamn fucking country. Like these people are so fucking goddamn annoying. I'm gonna go to another country where I'm not the majority. I didn't create the country and the cities. I'm going to enjoy the fruits of their labor, and then I'm going to bitch about them. And those fucking pussies that, these white people, they're like, or Europeans or whatever. I'm not just, generally speaking white, everybody, right? But they're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Fuck you too. You pieces of shit. You chicken shit, livered assholes. These people make me sick. Have a little bit of pride in what you've created and stuff. Nobody's perfect. I get it. We all as nations have done harm to each other. I mean, fuck, you just need to be like, I've seen the shit that Croatians and Serbians have done to each other, and they were neighbors for years, right? But outside of that, you don't go to, like, if I went and started, like, rightfully so, started going into Hong Kong and started talking shit and stuff, and I got beaten up for it. It's my fucking fault. But we allow these shitheads to come here, we should just pick them up with a scruff of the neck, put them on a boat. Here you go. Here's a couple of crackers. Push the boat. Get the fuck out. Like everybody's all of a sudden so chicken. I can't say that because, it's kind of cruel. No, fuck off. If you're not happy, get the fuck out. You can criticize a country like I do all the time. I say Canada's bullshit for the money, the taxes that we're paying out for just the overall treatment. Like, there's people that deserve the Habitat for Humanity, like Canadians that have lived here for many, many generations or whatever. They can't get a home because we're giving it to people who, like I have a relative that came here. He's from China and got a triple bypass. Like, when did you? How long did you spend here?
Basically, he kind of dropped off the plane and went basically straight to the hospital.
Yeah,
I remember that. It was pretty quick.
They were ready to let him die in China, and he was a police officer, a big commie. Like, just fuck off. And to those stupid white people that just eat this shit and promote this shit, fuck you too, you pussies. Go fuck a cow. Sorry, man.
Yeah. Faggots. Most of these sincere efforts after years of inertia, often these organizations had done better in the past, but then as now it was down to one or two particular motivated people. When they went, the focus on race equality went with them. So, race equality just means less white people, I guess. The pattern is usually I give them some free advice. Like, why? I don't know why I put that.
No fucking wonder. The guy from Hackney, Greater London area.
Why did he put this in free? Like, I guess it just you should have just said it. You don't need to do that. Advice and point them towards, just so you guys know, it's just free. Towards resources, they put in some effort, find that they're the only person who's willing to do that. The organization does support them. They get demotivated, and then they eventually move on. So it's the organization's fault, who doesn't help motivate them to change their demographics to suit. It's like, there's too many white people in charities. We need to change this. I just find that so hilarious. Like, what? Really? That's what you're going to complain about? On a cultural level, there's a pervasive assumption in charities that because you're nice people doing good work, that you're exempt from structural discrimination or unconscious bias. It's like, no, that's a straw man. I don't think anybody said that people who work in charities can't be racist or something. Nobody said that, but you're just assuming that now. You're assuming that they only hire white people. Why? To make white people look good or something? Probably in this guy's mind, it's like, well, there's lots of Pakistanis who want to help, but they just get refused. It's like, are you kidding me? No, they'll take anybody who comes
Back
to
to
their
your
door.
fucking shithole country where people shit on a beach. They take dumps on the beach. Your telco infrastructure looks like someone threw a bunch of spaghetti on a piece of paper.
But look, he's got a blue check mark too. This guy, he's
Of course he does.
Real person.
He's probably one of his fudge packing circles with Jack Dorsey.
See, this is the meme. This is the meme. Like, this is one of the meme. Like, damn, those white people and their check notes charity. It's like, oh, that's good. That's fucking good. But
God, remember when gays were just like gays? You know what I mean? They just stuck to their own. They didn't, they didn't fucking promote it or shit like that. Fuck. Like, these people
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Yeah, absolutely. Like these, my kid he was in summer camp this year and he got into a fight. I saw that kid was like going mental. I don't know. He was psychotic or something. Probably told that he was actually a woman and I don't know. He's been losing it. So I go there and a teacher, like, another white, 500-ton whale. It's like, oh, fuck. Do these people ever exercise? Like, what the fuck? Do you go into teaching because you're overweight? Is that the qualification? So she starts telling me, I'm very sorry, sir. We really apologize for what happened. We don't tolerate bullying. And I'm like, it's okay. No one, we should use nice words. I said, it's okay. He was throwing shots at my son. My son was laughing it off. And I told my son, if he needs to, he can protect himself. But, he walked it off. And he did the right thing. He went and told the teacher, but who gives a shit? Like, if he was teasing or my son was teasing, like, words won't hurt you. What happened to that shit? What happened to that shit in school? Words will never harm me. Sticks and stones will break my bones and words will never hurt me. What the fuck are we teaching our kids to be little paper tigers? He said that I'm gay. Well, are you? Does the shoe fit? Well, yeah. Okay, so what are you crying about? If you are, you are. Well, but I'm not. Okay, so then what the fuck? Why does it bother you? Just walk away. In today's times, if you go to Europe or Poland, like it's so tough there growing up. That's why they mature a lot faster. People really need to be Teflon coated. And I'm sure in Alberta, probably Manitoba, like the Maritimes as well, life is tough. It's not easy. They don't have all the luxuries we have in these fucked up cities. So people got nothing better to do, like myself, and collect these stupid fucking collectibles, right? Like, they're just like, okay, what else do we do? Life is too easy. So, you need a little bit of hardship, and it builds character, right? Like they talk about some of these old shows. Well, yeah, do something harsh. It builds character. But these fucking people, they just, they just trigger me that they go to a country where they are free to say whatever the fuck they want, like they are here, but just continually whine about it and push their narrative and force people that don't agree with them to agree with them. It's the same as those fudge packing faggots that go in the complained about Rob Ford not attending the gay parade.
Whoa. No bigotry about the gays here.
All right. I'm just joking here. Wink. So
called bundle of sticks. What they're called.
Bundle of sticks. All right. So Rob Ford just said, "Hey man, you guys have your parade, have fun, do whatever the hell you want. But I don't want to go. It's not my thing. I don't want to go." And all of a sudden, all these gays started rallying up at him. It's like, why do you want someone who doesn't want to partake in it's really weird forcing someone that doesn't want to come to your party. Aren't you the bigger creep? Well, that guy's creepy, man. I don't like him. He's such an asshole. Oh, he said he doesn't want to come. Oh, really? Well, fuck him. I'm going to bring him here. What kind of guy is that? Well, what does that make you look like? It makes you look like a loser. Anyways, I went off another
loser. Fucking loser. But yeah, right. No, I agree with you, man. But I think we'll probably close it off right away. I'll play a music video to end the stream type thing, and it's this one person I found. I've been finding some. I don't know. Maybe I should show this. And there's like another one where there's this like fat white rapper. He's actually pretty funny. But this one guy I found, like Tom McDonald, right? So I don't know if you guys have probably heard of him. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
I haven't heard of him, though.
All right. So he's got a bunch of songs that are kind of like, politically incorrect. He kind of looks funny, right? But, he's got one straight white male. There's some other one where he's like kind of looks like a Trump supporter type thing. And, kind of like, it's music that's pushing back to some extent against the kind of the degenerate shit that's coming out of Hollywood per se, and like the mumble rap, whatnot. Like, yeah, it's speaking more to obviously white people to some extent, or Trump supporters or whatever. But it's interesting too. I was thinking about it because this is all on YouTube, right? Like, he had no promoters, no promotion. Like, 7 million views. It's not bad. For a music video, it can still get a lot more for music videos, but not too bad. And I think it's good to see stuff like this, kind of propping up, because then it's just not, the stuff that you see today that's just promoting, like, I don't know, shake your ass or go do drugs and do meth, blah blah blah. But I'll play this for you guys and see if you like it. Maybe I'll check out a different one.
My generation's afraid of opinions. Y'all so intolerant. They're ashamed of themselves because they're privileged and white, or they're black and the opposite. You get charged with harassment for hugging a woman and giving a compliment. Y'all way too sensitive yet, offended to death. Bring all the coffins in. I swear that y'all are mad at everything that don't affect your life. I swear that y'all believe that being offended just means that you're right. Hey, I swear that y'all just want to be the only ones who everyone lies. Hey, I swear if I swear at you ninnies, you probably so triggered you cry. Nobody wants to be real. Everyone's scared of how everyone feels. We become so ultra sensitive and hyper tolerant that honestly, honesty gonna be illegal. It's crazy y'all get so shocked and bothered from people saying things that aren't responsible. If that seems logical, y'all are weak then. If someone says retard, it ruins your weekend, and that's retarded. My hair been in braids because it looks hella awesome. Y'all like to scream I appropriate culture, but I don't hear nothing. I'm paying homage. Y'all are just trying to get likes on your comments, googling quotes that are socially conscious, and saying you're woke doesn't make you a prophet. It makes you a liar, stupid obnoxious. Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drum.
And this is the intermission, so I don't get copyright striked. But I'm pretty sure he'd be down with us showing it too, because he's commented on other people and shit. But he'd probably be down. Hey, I'm promoting your shit, man. Don't strike me.
You must think I'm someone else, 'cause y'all don't wanna with me, 'cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they with me. My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are stuck with me. Happy Halloween, for one evening only, you wear what you want. Unless it's a poncho, a headdress, or afro, you'll piss someone off. Take it. I say Merry Christmas, but I know that it's about to be gone if religious freedom's such a dire issue. Why you dress like a priest in October? Fine. Don't let them censor your thoughts. Don't let them make you regret that you talk. Don't let them tell you that nice is the law, trying to make you all righter when nothing is wrong. Yeah, words hurt you, clothes hurt you, memes hurt you, jokes hurt you, we hurt you. At the time you don't even probably know what hurt you, but you're super mad. Trust, we hurt you. You a pawn in a broken system. Are you triggered much? You been showing symptoms. Y'all are so addicted to being hopeless victims. Y'all can crash a plane and play no road conditions. And your only sickness is your social vision. Makes you scared of choices, but you pro decisions. So you march a lot, but never go the distance. Yelling way too loud until no one listens. Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else, 'cause y'all don't wanna with me, 'cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they with me. My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are stuck with me. You look like the devil, you sound like some Christians. You just want a medal for asking permission. You just want a pat on the back in addition to being so tolerant. Fine, I admit it, you're nicer, you're better, you're brighter, you're brilliant, most sensitive creatures in all of existence. My freedom, I thought you'd be censored with prison. The world would be better if we were so different. Always on that blah, blah. Y'all should keep it to yourselves. Miss me with that drama. You must think I'm someone else, 'cause y'all don't wanna with me, 'cause I don't feel the pressure. No, I will not be censored. I'm not afraid, that's why they with me. My name will be remembered, and I will live forever. I bet y'all hate that y'all are stuck with me.
All right, guys, take it easy.